Just a moment. All right, we are now live. Welcome to the House of Horrors. Tonight we got Steve Rimpici. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing fine, sir.
Thank you for joining us. It's going to be a fun time, I hope.
Yeah, should be, absolutely.
And Miss Boom, I see you got your unicorn dress up on for Duke here. I guess he isn't the prettiest goddamn unicorn anymore.
You know what? I'll let that one slide this time, but that's it.
I was going to say I was going to be runner-up, but...
okay, yeah. Hey, it's
Duke him have the title.
Duke's new mate there. Has some little unicorns, little Dukettes running around.
We'll save that for the after-hours Cinemax version of the film. So
there we go.
One of those like helmet things for my dog too, but I forgot to bring it up with me, and she usually doesn't like to sit up in the chair with me when I do this. But I was going to dress her up too, but I forgot about it.
I'm just hoping my dogs stay quiet during this.
If not, it's fine. My ring goes off. My dog might bark. My cat's like right next to me, so we'll probably have commotion on my end anyway.
Animal House going on.
There you go.
I'm a giant zit. All right. I see it looks like we got a couple people here. I guess we'll go ahead and just start here asking you some questions. First one I got for you. Growing up, what were some of your favorite movies and TV shows that you got inspired to choose your career?
Well, growing up, I'm a huge Trekkie, so I have enjoyed Star Trek for a long time. So that's probably the top of the list. What got me interested, probably in the voice acting, were the old Looney Tunes. Because I would watch the Bugs Bunny cartoons and things, and in the title cards, they'd give you the credits, and it would always just say, well, voice characterizations, Mel Blanc. And it was the only name that was on there for every character was in the thing. And so I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, Mel Blanc is the god emperor of voiceovers when it comes to that. So he did everybody knows. And so I just always found that interesting growing up. Also, I was the clown in school, always making up silly voices and things like that. So it just kept it going and had fun with it. So.
So speaking of school and stuff, were you ever in any drama classes or acting plays?
I was not a drama kid. I was in the band, played trumpet and baritone horn. But I was not in drama or any of that. I really got my start with acting later in life. I have been a salesman all my life. So been selling everything from technology products to all different services and all kinds of things. Acting and sales are kind of two sides of the same coin. So how I got started in all of this is my daughter was a competitive gymnast and did very well. We went to nationals. I mean, she was ranked. And so, but in our local gym, they'd ask the parents to help with different things. So I said one time, do you mind if I do the MC and announce and stuff? And they had a very nice man who was doing it, who would be up there and announcing the scores. And in first place is this person. So I went up and, did, let's get ready to tumble. And it really went crazy. They said, okay, that's not enough people come up to me afterwards, said, you should think about doing that as a career. And so I said, okay. And so over time, I'm here in New York. So in New York, if you are in a drama program, for instance, at NYU, one of the things you have to create is a radio show. And so they're very happy to get anybody over 30 who can help them. And so because I was working full time, I didn't really worry about the money. I was doing it for fun. I did a lot of work for NYU students doing voiceovers and things like that. Some of them have gone on to quite successful film careers and have films on Amazon and Netflix and things like that. And they remember you over the years, and you throw some other things there. But it's really been more of a hobby than anything else over time, and just been very lucky enough to fall in with some great people like one of the other Steves on Carousel and the other films I've done.
Right. Since you said you liked Looney Tunes and everything, so I guess those were some of the voices you used to imitate or practice?
It wasn't so much. I am not very good at doing impressions. I'm excellent at doing impressions of people you've never heard of. But outside of that, I am not very good at doing it. Impressions is a very, very specific skill. I can sound like a couple of old singers that you guys won't know, but other than that, nah, not me. It was more situational stuff. So it would do the accents. So you could do the old Jewish man, and you could do, you can be a Russian band. It put on different accents and things like that just to keep the kids laughing and having fun in high school. I was always a bigger guy, so it wasn't to try to get out of fights or anything like that. But it was just fun, and I enjoyed making people laugh, not just the students, but the teachers as well.
That leads to one of my questions. It's like, how did you like teach yourself to do like the different voices?
It's really a practice thing more than anything else. The first thing you have to do, and I eventually took some acting classes and got some training, and I worked with Rob Paulson for a little while. Rob Paulson, for those who don't know the name, is a couple of Ninja Turtles. He's Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. He's done, thousands. He's done hundreds of roles dating back to G.I. Joe in the 70s all the way up to still doing Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs and a dozen others now. Best advice I ever got when it came to acting, and this goes for business as well, is just to be fearless. Especially, look, I don't do Shakespeare. I'm not a drama guy. So you have to be okay with looking stupid. And according to a whole bunch of people, I'm excellent at looking stupid. So if you're not afraid to be the fool, then you can really let yourself go. And in voiceovers, there's also, again, unless you are specifically, I need you to sound exactly like Jim Carrey. Okay, well, then you know what your job is. But if you can't, then you don't. But you can make up any character that you want, and you're not wrong. It's just, okay, that's what you think the character sounds like. Now, it's up to the casting director to say, well, that's kind of what we wanted or what we didn't. But, I mean, the horn on Miss Boomstick's head, it could speak like this because it's, you can do anything you want. And who's to tell me I'm wrong that it sounds like that? So that's really what it's about, so.
So what would you say the voice for the shark behind her would be?
The voice. Let's take a better look. Put that shark on the screen. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so there's the shark. Okay, so let's have his mouth there, and we'll do an experiment. Okay, so there's the shark. Hello, my name is Sharky. How are you today? That's one way you could do it, or you could go another way, right? Hey, you, hey. Come here, I'm hungry. Come here. And you could do 1,000 things like that. So it's you can have, as long as you're having fun, then there's nothing really that you're going to do wrong. It's just whether they think it's right for the piece or not is another story. But right. But you can, as long as you're having fun with it, especially you're doing comedy, then what else is the point if you're not laughing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what would you consider your first big break was?
My first big break. Let's see. Well, the first role that I had was actually, ironically, on screen. I did a movie called Bullseye. Bullseye was not the one everybody knows. Different Bullseye. This was a spoof done by a guy named Alex Prister, now about 10, 12 years ago, back when he was in Rutgers as a student. And it was a spoof of the old 30s gangster movies.
Yeah, I saw a trailer on your YouTube. It looked really interesting. I was looking forward to watch it, and I saw mine was the trailer.
It's actually, Alex's, I think Alex has the whole movie up now on his YouTube channel for free, so that you can find it. It was a great film to do. I went to this thing, and I had my grandfather's fedora from the 40s. I had a trench coat. I had the 3-piece suit, and that kind of sounds a little bit like Duke when you're doing an old 30s detective. So that's really my go-to voice, and I had a great time. Now, as far as a break is concerned, that wasn't exactly a giant hit. Wasn't shown all over the world, but it allowed me to have fun with acting and meet a lot of people, and then move on from there. I had, I've had some success recently as well. I also do audiobooks, and I'm one of the roster people at Audible for Amazon. So I've done now probably 10 books or so for them, hoping to do more. And again, I've done 1 or 2 serious ones, which are weird for me to do. Otherwise, they were group ones. They call them multicasts, and it's basically like a radio play. So they bring a half a dozen actors in to do a live action version of a kid's book or whatever it is, and put it together. And those are a lot of fun to do as well.
I was actually just about to mention the audiobooks.
Yep.
About the audiobooks, movies, video games. What do you enjoy doing most, and which do you consider more challenging?
They're all different. The video games, I've only done a couple of things. And I know from real voice actors like Rob Paulson and a few others at that level, when they're going out and they're doing video games, that's a tough thing to do. Not just because of the acting, but it's especially in a first-person shooter or something like that, and you have to die 150 different ways. So that's an incredible strain on the voice to be able to say, okay, well, your left arm just got cut off. Give us a scream for that. Ah! Okay, so, no, you've lost your right ankle now. You need to, oh! It's, and if you scream like that for an hour straight, you're not going to be able to talk for 3 days. So, so those can be very, very tough to do. In Red Dead Redemption, I was a background character, and so I had to do a few of those things where it was, okay, your house just got blown up by dynamite. Do that, and then it was those types of things. So the audiobooks, probably the most fun I had was on an audiobook called Brain Eater Jones by a gentleman by the name of Steve Kozlowski. Brain Eater Jones is a book about zombies, but they're sentient. They're just like you and me. They're just dead as long as they drink alcohol.
Oh.
If they stop drinking alcohol, then they turn into stereotypical brain eaters and the typical zombies. And the story takes place during Prohibition. So very, very interesting. So again, 1930s, it's right in my wheelhouse there. And I had a great time doing that. It was also the first audiobook I had ever done. So nobody told me, well, no, you shouldn't do it this way. So I looked at every character and I created an Excel spreadsheet of every character and what they did and what their traits were. And I gave everybody their own distinct voice. Because if I'm listening to a book, I don't want to just hear the same guy speak and everything. I want characters. I want a radio play. So there were 50, 60 characters in that. And I gave everybody a very distinct voice. And Steve also would put in throwaway lines about, well, this one is Greek and this one sounds like Jimmy Durante and this one sounds like this and this one. And so there were cues for all kinds of things in it to do. I had a great time doing that. That was a lot of fun because Brain Eater was, again, similar to Duke, kind of right who I am and all that, having fun with it, which is why I also love being Duke. As far as the movies, and I've done some TV stuff as well on camera and off, they're all very, very different. The movies are great because you get your script. It's just in voice acting, you wait a while. I've also done overdubbing. So basically a cartoon comes in from another country in Italian, you need to now dub it into English. That's its own things because you have to watch as the lips are moving. Otherwise it looks like an old, Kung Fu movie because I'm saying that I have to stop.
I know.
But you keep going. So so you have to match all of that up too. So everything has its own unique twists to it, but because this isn't my job, and I make money elsewhere, unlike most actors who are doing this, they need a paycheck. They have to take what comes. I can kind of pick and choose and say, you know what, this one right where I really want to be, I'm going to go for this and see if I can get it. Other one, not so much. I don't want to handle this. So because of that, I pick fun projects and I have a lot of fun with them. So but the roundabout way of discussing it all, but that's kind of where it is. And again, I'll give you specifics on anything you want to hear about.
Right. Anything else, Ms. Boomstick?
I had a question about how was it like working with Rockstar?
Rockstar Games was interesting. It was in a studio in Manhattan. It was really just one day. Went in and they don't give you the real name of what the project is. Everything is code named because they don't want leaks going out. They don't really tell you anything other than, okay, this is your character. This is what's happening. Go. And And with the video game, all of this stuff happens way before. So I didn't even realize what the game was until it was announced like 2.5 years later after I had done the gig. So it's, I mean, it was professional studio. It was all fine, but I wasn't one of the main guys who was in there. Although on IMDb, I was listed as one of the main characters for a short amount of time. Which was great because I was like, IMDb rank 50 or something when it was instead of 5 million. So my name got out there for a short bit, just for the wrong reasons. And I got people writing fan stuff on it. Oh, this is great. I'm like, I had to say, I'm sorry, this isn't me. This is the other actor. It's ultimately got it fixed, but yeah, I mean, fun to do. To this day, I can. I also have a credit on there for Mafia 3. I can't tell you when I did that. I have no clue.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
I've never played Mafia, so I've never played the first Red Dead, but I played the second one. So I had a couple questions with that one. I just have one more with the Red Dead, but. Yeah, I was like, I saw Mafia. I was like, I don't know squat about that game. I'm not even going to ask.
I couldn't even tell. When I saw the credit on IMDb, I'm like, well, I did a lot of little things. They would have all been code named and stuff, so I didn't know. And then a few years later, all of a sudden, oh, there it is. Okay, so it's not like I'm getting residuals on those for bit parts. It's okay. So.
And my husband was asking, because I know he's into games a little bit more than I am, so I asked him if he had a question to ask somebody who did voices in Red Dead. I keep wanting to get all tongue twisted on that. We'll call it Red Dead. What would you ask? He says, when you read the scripts for the NPC conversations, is it like a live read, or does everybody read separately and it gets edited together?
That'll depend on the studio. My guess is that with the NPCs, they're all going to be on their own. Just like when I was doing my background characters, it was you're in your booth, you're doing your screams, you're doing whatever it is, and that's it. The main characters would probably get together and do it as a group to play off one another, although that doesn't always happen anymore. I mean, forget about COVID, but just in general, because these can be done from anywhere in the world, if you are getting an A-list or a B-list Hollywood actor to be one of your main voices, they're not necessarily going to be in the booth with 10 other lesser people, let's call them, to go ahead and record. So they'll do that. So when you're in a booth, the director will typically feed you lines to bring into where you need to be. But most of the time, you're kind of on your own. Where I've seen more of the folks working together for me is in the audiobooks with Amazon. So we did a couple of YA novels, sci-fi kind of things that were great. One called Beezer, which was about a kid who is the child of the devil. But he's acting out. He doesn't. So his father banishes him to Earth because he can't stand him in hell anymore. And so it's kind of him, fish out of water, trying to fit in and stuff like that. And that we were all together for that. I played the part of a demon-possessed dog, actually, and that who was following him around. So who sounded a lot like this when he was talking, and that's the way they wrote him. Also, is because he was calling everybody a dumb broad, and so that was the voice you would use for that. So that's where I've seen that. But if you're on Family Guy or on The Simpsons or something like that, everybody's sitting around the table, everybody is working together to get all of that done. But the background characters, no, not so much. I can give you one other. I think one of the smartest cartoons that's come out in the last 20 years is Phineas and Ferb.
Yes, my son was really into that when it came out.
Excellent cartoon. Very, very smartly written. The songs are great in that. And so Perry the Platypus, and now that's bugging me. Famous voice actor, and now I can't think of his name, but he had to record this little chirpy noise that Perry does, this little
that weird,
yeah, exactly. He recorded that once, and they just reused that on every episode for everything, that he gets paid every time that show airs just for that little thing he does. So, but yeah, so it's they're great fun gigs if you can get them. And there's a lot of stuff that's out there. And the other thing about voice acting as opposed to being on screen, one, I got a face for radio. I'm not, but it's you don't. It doesn't matter what you look like at that point. So Rob Paulson, I'll bring him back into the conversation. Another example of that, because he's like, well, I'm an old man, but here I'm playing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Again, it's because his voice register is high, he can still do a teen voice. He can still do all of that. I couldn't do a teen voice when I was a teen. So it's, none of that matters. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how fit, skinny, doesn't matter. You just do the voice. And if the voice works, that's terrific. And that's really all that matters. And so I have a lot more fun behind the microphone than I do in front of the camera. Because one, you got to memorize lines, you got to know where to stand, you have to interact, and you got to look good in the costume or whatever it is. And so I much prefer being behind the microphone.
Nice. We have a question in the chat. Carla
Sure.
Paul says, when you do a scream, do you have to do multiple to get it the way they wanted?
Typically, yes, you do. So and again, it'll depend upon the director and what they're looking for. You will always do one take, and even if that take is perfect, they'll do another take, which they call for safety. So in case something happens with the first take and a technical glitch, they've got something else where they don't need you to come in and re-record. So you will have to do that. They may also say, no, we want it, you went, ah, no, we want it, ah, then they'll change the pitch, do this. And so they'll give you direction on what it is that they want you to do. And depending on the director, they may have you do it again and again and again. So, but that's.
Have you ever lost your voice having to do screams multiple times?
I have not, but I know people that have. And the good casting directors and the good directors will know to schedule that session at the end of a day. Because if you are doing all these screams and then you're supposed to have an intimate conversation with somebody, you're going to sound like this because you can't talk, and it's not going to work. So, so all of that comes into play when you're.
Yeah, that immediately came to my mind when you was talking about that. Like,
right.
You be a horse.
So it's and look, with cartoons nowadays and all the crazy stuff that's out there, probably the craziest audition I had to do was there was a group that was doing a version of, for lack of a better term, the gay Super Friends. And so there was one character who transformed from a man into an orgasmic horse. And that was the character. And so they're like, okay, well, we need you to transform from a man into an orgasmic. And this was over the top face stuff, all stereotypical. So exactly. So, well, we're talking up here. So there's all kinds of weird stuff that's out there. But again, you can have fun with it and have
horse, unicorn. I see a pattern here.
I'd say I'm an equine kind of guy. So it's, but yeah, we're having fun with all that. So
Carla has another question. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve.
No,
go ahead.
Do you tend to do expressions as you do the voice, maybe facial expressions? I think they're trying to ask.
Yes, and you have to, because if you are, something simple, you need to laugh. Well, you're not going to laugh, ha 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 ha.
Right.
Yeah. You have to get into it, get into the character to do that. If you are doing a cartoon, for instance, there will be times where typically you have the whatever the cartoon character looks like. Hopefully you have a picture of it so that you can look at it and say, okay, well, just like the shark before, does the shark look stupid? Does it look mean? Does it look happy? Does it, what kind of voice are you going to lend to whatever the object is? And it can be an object. Okay, well, this is an ice cream cone. It's a talking ice cream cone. Okay, what's a talking ice cream? So, I mean, you can put whatever you want on it, but you need to, you do need to get into it and do that, whether the emotion is there to bring it out, because you want all that stuff over the top. People aren't seeing you do stuff, so you want to be over the top, which again is why you can't be afraid to look the fool, because folks are actually watching you do this. Well, you're all over the place. I mean, so that's just part of the fun of it, though. That's just part of the fun.
Yeah, I've seen like behind the scenes of like movies of either Robin Williams or people doing cartoons, how they're always all into their whatever they're doing. Yeah, exactly.
See, now when you're Robin Williams, like in Aladdin, they changed a lot of the drawings for the genie to match him.
Mm-hmm.
So they went the reverse way, or other things. If you're trying to portray somebody and you know that this is the actor, so if Robert De Niro is playing a part, you're going to give him Robert De Niro kind of look to it. Otherwise,
Right.
why have Robert De Niro? So they'll do that to try to match some of the expressions and things like that. But there are voice actors out there that are just one of the other great voice actors who is still around. This guy named Frank Welker. Again, probably not a name everybody knows, but you know everything he's done. He's Fred from Scooby-Doo, has been 50 years. He is also almost every animal or weird creature noise that you have ever heard in anything. Piece of Star Trek trivia. In Star Trek 3, Spock is aging on the Genesis planet and he screams loudly. That's Frank Welker who is doing the scream. There is something that they check, and I forgot what it's called, but they rank movies that you've been in and how much money they've brought in. And there is a ranking then of how much you're worth based upon the movies that you've been in. Whether it was a big part or a starring role doesn't matter. It's just a movie you were in. Frank Welker beats everybody because he's been in every movie. In the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, another excellent cartoon from the 80s, he was the voice of the little unicorn. And so he would go around, so it's, they'd go up and say, well, we have an octopus that has a cold. We need you to, okay, male, female, young. Oh, okay. Well, and then bang, it's okay. Yeah, that's an octopus with a cold. Okay. So yeah, we have a good time with that. And you could have fun with it too. One of the fun characters I did in Brain Eater Jones, again, these are about zombies and the undead. So there is one of the characters who is the boss in it, is an aborted fetus in a jar. Okay. And so he's in a jar of alcohol. So he always stays lucid and things like that. So you have to figure out, well, what does an aborted female fetus in a jar sound like? How do you give that a voice? So I'm thinking, oh, so you can talk like this. Hello, Mr. Jones. How are you today? And so you could give any kind of thing. Again, who's going to tell me I'm wrong? So you do what you think is right, and you put it out there, and hopefully people like it.
Yeah, that book sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to look into
Listen to that. Yeah,
I've never had an audiobook before, but I'm highly tempted on that one.
They're fun ones to do. Again, you can have, just like you can have bad movies, you can have very boring audiobooks.
No, I imagine.
So you need to find somebody who will match what it is that you're looking for, and it also needs to match what the titles are. So I've done a book that was on Stoicism, which was basically a self-help book. So I'm not doing zany over-the-top characters in that, but you're trying to keep it lively and trying to keep it things. The other thing in voice in the audiobooks, I always found everybody speaks slowly. Now, maybe it's because I'm from New York and we talk fast in general. I'm Italian, which also makes me talk fast. So it's, with all of that, it's okay. Well, I don't want to listen to somebody read a book as they're speaking at this pace, which is what they try to make you do. And that's why everybody listens to audiobooks at 150 to 200% speed, because it's how can you go through listening to a 400-page book for 12 hours listening to this? So I tend to do it a little bit faster than everybody else, which hasn't caused any problems yet. But you need to do all of it. By the way, hello to everybody that's out there. I see Carla and Horror Devil and PVD. We've got a bunch of people that are out there. That's terrific. So that's great. Good. So, yeah. Hey, guys, ask me anything. They've paid me for the whole 2 hours, so it's okay. So ask me anything here. So.
Carla actually had another question when he was going through that. Have you had to do gargles or growls?
Sure. Especially in the horror stuff. So and again, that depends on what they're looking for. Is this straight horror? Is it comic horror? What's the scene for? Is it gargle as you're just, what is it that you're trying to do? In the audiobook where I was the possessed dog, I had to do, a lot of, that type of thing. You have to do all those things. And again, you look silly while you're doing it, but that's okay. So yes, that's if you are good with those noises, if you're good with that, that's another selling point for you when you're in the voice acting thing. If all you can do is read, not so much. So, and again, you'll gravitate to where you want to go. But yeah, the noises can be a lot of fun. Because again, who's going to tell you you're wrong? so as long as it fits the scene and you're doing things, it's not like, okay, well, we're in a somber scene and we're standing over the grave, and we're watching the corpse go down. You don't want to start going, it doesn't lend itself to that scene. But you can still have fun with whatever it is. That's really what it comes down to. As long as you're having fun with it all, then that's what's terrific about it.
Awesome.
So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Carousel. Did you know Steve Rimpici before he approached you, and what were your thoughts on the script of the being?
And I forgive the dog barking in the background.
He heard you growling.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as Carousel was concerned, no, I did not know Steve beforehand. He put out a standard audition, looking for folks to audition for the part and see what we can do. So you get a portion of the script, which is called sides, and you read your sides, and they'll give you some direction, which is, okay, well, this is the character. Give us your take on it. This is what the general story is. Again, this isn't straight horror. This is comedic, so keep that in mind. And I sent in my audition. He had talked to me a couple times after that, and I was lucky enough to get the part. Steve's a great guy. He is terrific. His other films are hysterically funny. He does a great job with all of that. I've also done some of the Meowie films that he does. He has those. So I was a Russian cat in I was Russian cat. So there are things like that you have to do. Hello, Chadrick, as well. So stuff like that, you're having fun with. But Steve is absolutely terrific to work with. I've told him I would love to do a musical version of Carousel. I think that would be fun.
That would be. Yeah.
So, but it's great. And one of the things that you miss being the voice guy is everybody else is on set and everybody else is having fun being together while I'm just sending files back and forth over the internet. So you miss out on some of that stuff. But frankly, with what goes on, I'd feel like the creepy old guy sitting in the corner on some of those things. And so it's probably better I'm not there.
Especially for the Duke scene.
Yeah, it was the best sex I ever had, and I wasn't even there. And and most of the women I'm with wish I was never there. So it's that's what it is. But it's a lot of fun. But yeah, Steve is terrific. He is. And Carousel 2. Well, the script on Carousel was. Hopefully everybody's seen it. If not, watch it now.
Definitely, check it out. It is on Tubi, Amazon. So,
absolutely, yeah. It's a hysterically funny film. It doesn't take itself seriously. Just enjoy it. It's if you have a couple of drinks during it, probably not a bad idea. It's
take a shot every time. See you in hell.
There you go. So it's you want to be awake for the end of the film, though. But it's just a good time, and that's most of the independent films that are out there, and I don't care whether it's Carousel or Llamageddon or the Attack of the Killer Dog.
Gosh, Llamageddon, yeah.
I might watch this forever. I'm watching it.
It's good. It's different, but it's a good film.
It looked like it by the trailer.
If you can have fun with it, again, this is all about having fun. If you're looking to watch a serious movie and stuff like that, don't watch any of this. I haven't, I have not. I've done one serious thing from an audiobook perspective, which I think I did a decent job, but again, it's not where I shine and not what I really gravitate toward. And Steve, again, is just absolutely terrific. He was nice enough to invite me out. They had a screening in a theater out in Pittsburgh. And so I drove out to Pittsburgh to do that. And that was a lot of fun. It was the first time I'd ever seen one of my films on a big screen. So that was a great experience. And and Carousel 2 also will be a great experience, and it's just a very, very, very funny film. Absolutely funny, and Steve is great.
I can't wait
nice
to
things about him. Yeah.
see that one. I absolutely love the first one. I don't own it yet, but I will be buying it sometime.
If you can, yes, because that's unfortunately the independent filmmaker doesn't exactly make a ton of money on these things.
Right.
So, unless you've created something, like the Blair Witch Project that all of a sudden came out of nowhere, it's, you're not going to get too much on that. But
right, exactly.
So if you can buy direct from Steve, that's great, because then he gets to keep all the money as opposed to going through Amazon or one of these other things. But
yeah, I got his website here because I actually, someone in Walmart yesterday, I was looking at horror movies. And I mentioned how you were coming on tonight, and he actually heard of Carousel too. I was surprised.
Great. That's
here
great.
in Tallahassee, it's like, I mean, I know it's out there and a lot of people know, but
yeah.
Randomly meeting someone at work, it's like, oh, that's cool. And so I gave him the website to order that and everything, told him about Carousel 2, which he didn't even know there was a second one. It's Silver Spotlight Films.
Yep.
.com. So for everybody watching, Carousel's on there, all the Maui Christmases, and there's even a Carousel card builder game, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
I actually own that myself. I had to get that, so haven't played it yet, but eventually I'll. It's really cool. I enjoy that. And then also he has his stevebuster.com that you can watch Carousel on and all of his work. So.
Which I am a member of. So fair warning, it is an OnlyFans site, which I was surprised when I logged on there because the recommended viewing was very different than I thought it was going to be.
Like, wait a minute, what am I getting into?
So although there was a very funny channel, two very, very healthy gals, that it was called Coffee with Cleavage, was the channel that was recommended. So so shout out to them if they're out there somewhere. But,
Coffee and Cleavage, great combo.
Steve's site on Steve Buster, there's a ton of stuff. It's all of his old films. There's director's commentary and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's whatever it is, $3-4 a month. It's definitely worth it. I am a member. So he's got a lot of great stuff on there too, and he leaves it up. It's not like it's there for a week and oops, you missed it. So all that stuff is good to do as well. One of the a great thing that I had happen when I first did Dustin Mills' Puppet Monster Massacre. I was in FYE, which was still a store back then, and they had it in their movie section. So I took a picture of that with my son holding it when he was young. So I thought that was cool. But all right, hey, look, my name's right there. I thought that was great. So,
yeah, I saw that. It was on Tubi too. I haven't watched it yet, but I sort of like skimmed through it, and Von Wagner or whatever, the mad scientist. So.
It does the first Puppet Monster Massacre. I was Dr. Wagner, So he spoke very much up here. He was a fun.
Yeah, he was a high up. Yeah.
Okay, so it was he created the monsters that was there to eat teenagers, and so it was. So he was Dustin had a very weird sense of humor, and he's remaking it actually. So he did a whole different take on it. Both myself and Steve Rudzinski are doing some background voices in that as well.
Okay.
It's a complete reboot, so not the same story. It's different, but also it's funny as hell just from the script. But the original one was so much fun to do because that was also my first big thing, doing a voiceover, first starring role in a film and a voiceover, and so that was a lot of fun to do as well. Dustin's films, unlike Steve's, have a very different feel to them. He's got a lot of straight horror, dark stuff, as well as more family-friendly things. So if you're into some of the dark psychological things, he's got some films that are really, really deep when it comes to that. Dustin also has one of his other films just came out recently, was the Slumber House Massacre or Slumber House Slaughter Massacre, something like that. Which is just, an excuse to have a naked pillow fighting with a bunch of women beating up a demon type of thing. And I'm all for that. So it's, so it was, his stuff is great, and everybody should check out Dustin's as well. He's also, just like Steve, another very, very nice guy. Just a Good people. Very good people.
There was a question there. Let's see. Wait, Carousel is a movie. I had to go away for a sec. Yeah, very funny Killer Unicorn movie. Definitely recommend it. Or Carla,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Carla, you have to do, but it's Carousel.
Yes.
You got to spell it right, otherwise you're going to be watching, Roger
musical
Hammerstein from the 50s. So
that's why Carousel should be a musical too.
Right, it's a very, very different approach to things. There, not as many people die in the 50s version. So, yes, and you're right. As far as Russian accents are concerned, they are fun to do. I also have a deeper voice, so it's it's very easy for me to do things like that. But you can have fun with Russian voices as well, not always angry. So it's, you can have fun with that too. One of the tougher voices I had to do was in Brain Eater Jones was a Russian woman. So trying to get the voice down here to come up like here is very different because it sounds very different up here. And so that was one of the tougher ones I had to try to figure out how to do. So.
And for Duke, if you can recall, if not, that's all right. But did you have any other voices that you had tried for Duke that you could demonstrate that didn't pass as Duke? Or?
Duke was pretty much, I went with what I like doing, which is, again, Duke is here. I have the Duke voice has been used in different things. It's just slightly tweaking it depending on what it is. So Duke, when Duke speaks, he's really right here. It's a mid-level. I'm talking to you now, but I've lost some of my New York accent in that. He pops up every now and then because I'm from New York, but it's, I've done other characters. So, if you go back and you listen to Brain Eater Jones is, he's there with the more of the New York stuff, that kind of rough kind of angle, but it's the same type of voice. I did way back did a series of internet serial, basically old time radio show kind of things, where it was called The Adventures of Lord Dinby Witherspoon, Duke of Space, which was a great little audio series about like found footage. This guy found this radio show from the 30s that was a sci-fi radio from the 30s taking place in the 25th century and things like that. But he wrote it to leave in commercials from the 30s and do different things. And so it was an English show, so I had English characters, but they eventually brought in an American, and he sounded very much like that. I did a series as well on Sherlock Holmes, which was it took place in the modern era, but there was Officer Weathers. And so Officer Weathers had this. Now, again, very similar voice to the rest of them, but you can tell I've slowed him down a little bit to be more specific. Those are the types of things you can do with the same voice to have the character be different. So didn't mean to turn this into a class, but those are the things.
That's fine. It's great.
You're fine.
So.
What's your I can talk. Rewind.
I had it earlier, so I passed it to you.
Yeah, it's all your fault. What is your favorite part of being Duke, and what can you reveal to us about the journey and character development in the sequel?
Okay, so as far as Duke is concerned, being the villain, and well, he's not a villain even. Duke is not the villain. Duke is the hero of the story. Duke is just a fun character. So, I mean, he just, he's got a purpose in the first film. I'm going around on this stupid carousel horse with these kids with the snot and all, and, I'm just tired of it all, and I'm going to bash that kid, And so he is single-minded in his revenge to get this kid. And it doesn't matter who gets in the way, and that's where all the fun is killing all the rest of the people who get in his way until he can get to his kid. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun to do that when you can just, you don't have to worry about being nice or anything else. And it's, there's a part in the film where, he kills somebody and then nonchalantly goes back to having a conversation. So because it's like, oh, that's it. Nope, you're dead. Okay. And by the way, it's so you just enjoy having fun with all of that. As far as Carousel 2 is concerned, it's a different film from the perspective of, now the trailer's out there, so I can say some of this. It has to do with Duke and his son. And for those of you who watched the first film, you know there was a son or a baby produced. So, so this is about more of a father-son story. So this is going to be, you know, the Cliff Huxtable and you know, the dad version of Duke trying to get together with his son while simultaneously killing people and, you know, doing things like that. So, so we still have fun with the film, but from a
moments.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the character arc. It's the, he's not, this isn't about revenge now in the second film. This is about discovering his origins and what that means. And okay, so how do you deal with your past? How do you deal with your present? What happens going forward? And it builds Duke out to it. Yes, Carly, you got that right. No, there you go. So that's where it's going in. Now, if you want some spoilers, I can about and but but
oh,
and that's really all I can say about it. So I'm sorry. So that's
that was nice.
So
yeah, I got one of the Steve was selling the scripts there. I got one of the limited scripts signed and stuff I read, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to spoil it either. And he's even said, of course, you know, there's some changes. It's not exactly how it was. But I had mentioned also not too much of it because I had said it with Steve too. I'm looking forward to that father-son montage. I can't wait to see that put together because I'm reading about it. I'm like, oh, what music are they? I mean, I can just imagine because the first movie when they're doing the montage at the party, the My Little Pony,
my Tiny Uni, my Tiny Uni,
yes. the spoof of My Little Pony, yeah. But, so that should be funny.
His stuff and Aileen's stuff, it's just absolutely hysterical. So the film is going to be a lot of fun for everybody to see. I can't wait to see the finished product. Again, I'm not on set, so I couldn't even tell you what everything looks like. I've seen the trailer like the rest of you guys, and that's it. So, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know the pre-orders are up, so I pre-ordered mine. So.
Very good, very good. See, that's it. Everyone be like Steve and buy now.
Act now while supplies last.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's good stuff on that site. So I mean, recommend everything on there. It's a good time. So
good, very good.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Have you had a favorite character so far?
A favorite character to do. Duke would certainly be up there. Brain Eater Jones would be up there as well. I'm trying to think who else I've done. There have been some minor characters that were just fun to voice, even if they didn't do much. In Brain Eater Jones, he has a sidekick named Alcibe, who was supposedly from Honduras. I have no idea what people sound like from Honduras, so I did not know how to do a Honduran act. But I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be some sort of a Spanish. So throughout the whole thing, he speaks kind of like this. This is what I'll. So in the audiobook, I actually added a line which you're not supposed to do because they ask where he's from, and I say from Honduras, but from a very remote part. And so that was my way of just saying, okay, don't bug me on the accent. But Alcibe was just a severed head in a pan that would be carried around in that as well.
I just walked by and saw this, and he's just like side-eyeing me. That's why I was like, "Hi."
So
there's a.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, since you said you had improv the line, I kind of had a question also about Duke. Was it all followed scripted? Did you add any more Dukeness to it, or was it just by the script?
It was what I typically do is I'll ask first from a director and say, hey, do you mind if I do a take having fun with it? And typically they say yes. And so for most of the stuff that I do, I will do a couple of straight takes in whatever as written so that it matches what's on the page. And then I will typically do something that, throws some other stuff in there or gets even more way over the top or things like that, just to give them something that they want to use. And sometimes it makes it into the film and sometimes it doesn't. I couldn't give you an example of one off the bat. And Bullseye in the live action movie that I did, a lot of that we threw in different ad libs while we were going, just because we didn't know better. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll throw it in there and see if it sticks. And so that's fine. So,
right.
That was actually one of my questions too. Have any of your roles or lines been impromptu?
Yes, and there was I had one. This was in an audition I did. This was from a group they were trying to put together a cartoon called Owl, Bear, and Pig. Now, I know there's an owl bear out there now. I don't think it's the same one, but basically post-apocalyptic buddy thing that was taking place in the future. And so I liked what the guy did. The guy didn't ask for it. I didn't get any of the roles. I didn't hear back from them. But this is just an example of me. I wanted to have fun with it. So I sent him a file that was like 9 minutes long of every male character that he had. And it was, but I did it almost like a show. So I had an announcer person who was the narrator who was talking to this. And first we're going to introduce you to this character, and then we're going to do this. And so but that, I took his character descriptions and did those in the different voices. And the narrator, I was just, I still remember one of the things they had was this weird creature that would kill people, and the only way, or sting you when you'd have some venom in it, and the only way that you could do it is you had to grind up its teeth and snort the dust, basically, that was there. And all I can remember, the one thing I remember from the audition is that I went in and said, I said, well, and you just can't take it, you have to snort it. You have to snort it like cocaine. And I don't mean the cheap stuff. I mean the good quality stuff that you get at Hollywood parties that just kind of burns in the nose. And, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let's get back to that. Exactly. So, okay, I didn't get the part, but I had a lot of fun auditioning for it. So. And again, when it's not your main job and you don't care about the money as much, you can have fun with it. So.
I remember... I forget if it was MegaCon or it was some convention a long time ago I went to, and this guy was drawing cartoons, and I don't know if they ever made it into the show that they wanted to. I mean, like, he had plans, but you know how not everything makes it.
Right.
And he was still looking for people to do voices, and I had seen the one picture. It was funny. It was like this weird, fat-looking alien. I mean, really fat alien. He had like these big, like almost circular, muscular arms and stuff, and big chin, and I can't really remember what else, but I was like, thinking for him, I'd be like, I may be fat, but I'm weightless in space. Like, that's how I imagine it. Like, I'm weightless in space.
And that's terrific. Yeah. That's terrific. Yeah. It's you can do
whatever.
Exactly. You could do it. I mean, part of I heard the story of Chris from Family Guy, the character Chris. And so when Seth Green was auditioning, everybody else was, the way the character was drawn at the time, he wasn't as frumpy. And so every other actor went in there and did it as this kind of cool surfer dude kind of thing. Whereas then he went in and said, "Hi, Dad," the
voice. The high pitch.
And because it was, they're like, that's it. That's what we want. And so that it's never know what's going to happen. What's going to, what's going to,
Exactly. Seth MacFarlane's great. I love Family Guy.
I love Family Guy. I like Seth MacFarlane. I think he's a smart guy. I think he does things, and I love the Orville. And so I'm waiting for season 3 of the Orville to come out.
Yes, that's gonna be great.
He's also a Trekkie as well.
He is, and the Orville is more Star Trek than the new Star Trek stuff. We don't need to get controversial on this channel. So that's,
they make fun of me because I mispronounce. I sometimes say track instead of Trek, so they make fun of me.
That's I don't get paid on any of that stuff, so that's okay. But it's Kara's hell. Kara's hell. You have to pronounce that.
That up too, but the guys don't watch that stuff, so they don't make fun of me on that. At least in this house, I'm the only one that watches horror in this house.
Well, you got to introduce them gently on something like that. Start with something easy like The Exorcist, and then work from there. So
I tried with my son, but I failed.
You failed as a mother. Gotta have that.
Okay, you're gonna have a well-adjusted kid. Shame on you. That's
But yeah, he has watched a few things. He's not too big into them, but he has at least watched some. He's not young; he's a teenager. But
My son is turning 17 next week, so I understand.
16. So. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
I lost where I was at on this.
Anyone else in the chat? Let's see. No more questions. Yeah, I was saying if there was any other questions.
I've kind of skipped around on my list, so I was trying to see where I was at. Oh, I have a friend that is a big fan of Easter Casket.
Easter Casket, yes, that was a lot of fun.
So I asked him if there was any questions that he would like to ask, and he's got two. First off, what is your favorite film that you have been in?
Okay, that would be Carousel. That just was. It's gotten the following. It's got a lot. So many people have loved Duke, and so that's a lot of fun. I've always said my goal in life was to have my own action figure, and so there was a company that actually produced a Duke action figure as a gift to the distributor. So so when I get enough money, I will give them whatever amount of money it is to produce one for me.
Awesome.
I want to do figure. That'd be awesome.
That would be very, very cool.
When the second one comes out, that should have like a combo pack of both movies.
With the kit.
I agree with you. That's it. We should have a whole line of these things. The hell with Star Wars. We should have all this stuff here. Yeah. Merchandising. It's all merchandising. But
have a whole universe.
exactly. It's with the Saturday morning Duke cartoon and stuff. That's
yeah.
Hi kids. Today we're going to learn about killing. It's
weapon of choice today.
Exactly. Today, Chinese throwing stars. So it's you could. But yeah, I had Easter Casket. Actually, was Easter Casket is another one of Dustin Mills' films. It's a great concept there because it's about basically the Easter Bunny being a demon, a demonic Easter Bunny, and he puts in biblical stuff. There are some very naughty scenes in that movie as well. But Dustin asked me to play the Megapope. And so the Megapope is kind of this Wizard of Oz floating head that appears before the main character and gives him orders. And so it was very much a large kind of voice where I had to do it. And at the end, anytime he leaves the scene, it's Megapope, away! And so
my friend that likes that movie actually introduced me to that, and he has a YouTube as well. So that was actually my very first review I have ever done was Easter Casket.
Oh, all right, very nice, very nice. Hopefully you enjoyed the film.
Yes, I did.
So, it's not for everybody, but it
was hilarious. But I like that dark humor stuff.
Yeah, and there are people who got some of the jokes. I saw one review because there's a part actually with the Megapope who is instructing the warrior priest. When he first sees him, kneel, now rise, kneel again, now, which is a very Catholic thing to do when you're in mass. You have to get up and get down. You break your knees while you're getting up and getting down. So, and this reviewer caught on to it and said, this is the funniest Catholic joke I have ever seen on film. And so again, you write those things for what you know and how to have fun with it. So that's all good. That's all good stuff. But yeah. Don't be shy, folks. Ask me anything from quantum physics, anything else. You pick a topic, and I will give you an answer that it has at least a kernel of truth in it, as far as you know anyway. So,
actually, on the Internet Movie Database, I was looking under the trivia part, and it mentioned about that high IQ, either club, or what is it that you did?
Mensa. Yes, Mensa.
Yeah.
Yes. So when older guys turn 40 and 50, they go out and get a young gal in a sports car. I joined Mensa. That was my ego trip, was to do that. So yes, if you are high enough IQ and you've done well on testing, then you can get I'm a certified smart guy, and do that. My wife is also in Mensa, but is in the Mensa Golden Circle. So Mensa is the top 2% of IQs, and the Golden Circle is the top 2% of Mensa. And so I never went in. She also has a photographic memory. So, when I'm talking with her about things, it'll come back and say, well, 7 years ago, you were wearing this, it was raining, and you said this, and quote me verbatim on something that I said. And I'm like, well, okay. so I don't even try to win on those things. She's smarter than I'll ever be. So that's but yeah, I
don't want to take her off then. Remember 5 years ago when you owe me for that now.
So but yes, that was purely an ego thing, was really that. And I get 10% off on my Geico insurance and a couple of things like that because of the clubs. Okay. So, that and I actually IMDb did not take. I put 3 things in there. I had written that I'm a member of INSA, I'm a lifelong Star Trek fan, and these 2 things are linked. They wouldn't put and these 2 things are linked in there. I put other stuff in there. And I've done things like that, in some of the resumes and different things they'll ask for languages, and I'll just throw in Klingon just to see if anybody picks up anything and stuff like that. And I've done presentations at work because most people don't read stuff, and I know most people don't read stuff. So in the middle of a presentation, I'll write a line that's a quote from a movie or something like that, or just throw in something just to see if somebody picks up on it. And 90% of the time they don't. But again, I'm doing it so that I have fun with it or something like that. And it's, or I'll throw in a Yiddish phrase or something like that. Somebody will come back and say, "Did you read?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's okay. You read it. Good. All right." So, but yes, you have to have fun with that. So.
It's usually more gold stars if they get the quote.
Well, yes.
It's not that they spot it, is if they get it.
So we have, you can take any situation, and if it's a bad situation, trying to inject humor into things also keeps you sane. So one of the things, we have a neighbor who is really a pain. So I will frequently, what I'll do is I know they can hear through the wall sometimes. So I'll replace just any generic noun with the word vagina. just to kind of say, I'll call to my wife and say, I can't reach the jar on the top vagina. Can you get that?
I can't reach the vagina.
Exactly. Just because I'm figuring the neighbor is thinking, did he just say what? And again, may not be happening, but I'm laughing about it. So that's that.
I like super troopers were like license and registration meow. What?
Yes, exactly. It's just if you can't laugh at life, hell's the point. So it's have fun with it all.
Chadwick wants to know, do you write or act more?
I am an actor. I did write a sci-fi novel, which I self-published online somewhere, which didn't really do anything, and I don't think it got too many reviews. But it was just something because I wanted to write a book, and so I said, let me see if I could write a book. So I wrote a book. It was okay, nothing great, but I am much better at taking other people's words and doing things with them than using my own. So I much prefer to act than to write. I can write short things. I can I can handle myself in a variety of topics. I'm excellent at proofreading and cleaning up what other people do to make it sound better. But writing from scratch is it's not something that I enjoy doing on a regular basis. But acting, that's always fun. And acting and selling are, again, same thing.
Back to Duke a little bit. I had asked Steve this back when I had interviewed him some weeks back about how he would pull out different weapons, the ninja stars and all that. And what was his take on that? Are we just supposed to assume Duke is a magical unicorn that can just do it once? What's your take on that?
Well, again, this is part of the fun because you're okay. So if you're walking in and you're saying, okay, I'm going to show you a movie about a killer unicorn. How do you expect all the deaths are going to happen? It's going to take the horn. You're going to ram somebody with the horn, and that's going to get old and boring pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, and again, Steve is a funny guy. He writes very well, and he writes comedy very well. So it's just the absurdity of it all it's not supposed to make logical sense. One, he's a talking unicorn. I think the fact that he doesn't move, that it's just this like unicorn floating across the screen, it's hysterical. It's now some people don't get that. They were like, but it's not. Well, no, turn your brain off. Leave, just accept what's happening and just enjoy it. So I thought it was great that this was, the garroting wire and all. I mean, and the guy who did the practical effects. I was lucky enough to meet him at that screening in Pittsburgh. What a guy and what a talent. I mean, they're working with very, very little budget. And this, I would say, some of the practical effects rival stuff that you see in multi-million dollar blockbusters. I mean, he did a phenomenal job with some of those kills. But yeah, it's an absurd concept. So why try to make it serious? Be absurd. That's what this is about, is just embrace the absurdity of it all. So I think that as long as you're doing that and you're not thinking too much about it, that's great. I see somebody's a huge fan of Red Dead Redemption. That's true. Thank you, Doomsday. I appreciate it. If you saw some guy's house blow up in the background somewhere in the game, that was me. But other than that, so
I added it to the thumbnail.
His character had blue eyes. One blew that way, and the other went the other direction.
Exactly.
When I did the thumbnail, I picked Carousel, I picked Easter Casket, and I picked Red Dead for the pictures to go alongside with you.
Yeah,
but it's like having a vanity plate to say, okay, well, I've been in Red Dead Redemption. That's okay. And you were, what were you? Well, I was, can't remember number 52, but it's that's okay. That's okay. Again, this is all just about having fun and doing things. Right. So I enjoyed the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend Jerry also had asked me. He couldn't remember if he had scenes with her or not, but he wanted me to still ask. What was it like working with Aaron R. Ryan?
Again, because I am in a booth, I'm not working with anybody. So I am, what I do is I have my own little studio here at my house. And I put together the files, send MP3s or WAV files over to them. And that's it. I'm pretty much out of the loop with all of that stuff. So, which is unfortunately, you miss a lot of fun that way with some of these movies. But again, it's a different type of experience when you're behind the microphone, especially when you're really the only voice guy in a live action film. It's very, very different. So.
Yeah, Doomsday says he's a big horror freak, but Red Dead is a legendary game.
Very much so. Very much so. So let me ask you guys a couple questions while we're doing this. So, I mean, I know that you started the podcast somewhat recently. It's, why? What got you into this? I'm curious.
Just
you had on here. Okay, tell me, Steve. What would you?
Yeah. Tonight's the 11th episode, actually. So yeah. Well, I mean, I always enjoy going to conventions and meeting people with same interests and everything. So I mean, I think it's a good way to bring a group of fans together and learn about the guest as well, and just have a good time doing it. That's basically what it's all about. It's having fun and enjoying what we like, learning about what we like, and so. That's why I was like, House of Horrors, let's put it together. Let's go. So
also spreads like stuff that's like something that's lesser well known
and lesser known, yeah.
Yeah, like probably most of the people here would probably know you knew from like Carousel, but like we brought up the audiobooks, we brought up
the video games,
Basket and all that stuff that they might not be aware of.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think you guys are doing a terrific job at this. I've watched some of the other shows, and I think this is terrific. And you guys out in the audience there. Hang on, that's no, not you. You over there. That one. Okay, yeah, no, you got to put your shirt back on. It's very distracting. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So
this isn't OnlyFans.
It's
You must have been talking to Carla. She put
yeah, earlier she was talking about what was it, a stripper or ice cream?
I saw that. I couldn't think of a good response.
Yeah, when you were talking about being in sales and acting, I'm gonna have to scroll up and see that. I don't remember exactly what was said there, but not sure what inspired me to be a stripper as a kid. I was torn between dancing or ice cream lady.
Well, it's see, the dirty joke would be, well, they both involve cream somewhere, but if you see do that on a station like this, so we won't do. So that would just be wrong. So we won't say those types of things.
Oh yes, this is a G-rated show.
Exactly.
Right.
Kids watching. That's
sorry, hot day. I had to cool down the nips.
Rub some ice cream on
it. So I think, look, I think there's a lot of stuff that that's in the horror community that gets overlooked, especially a lot of the indie stuff, because the normies that are out there are looking, well, how come that doesn't look as good as the film that they had a $200 million budget? Well, they had a $200 million budget, so having if you're trying to put a film together on $10,000 or $500 or $15,000, it's you got to work with what you can. Even on Bullseye, it's you use what's around you. Alex knew a guy who was a judge in the town that he was in, who was a classic car collector. So we had like a 1911 Ford. We had a 1930s car. We had a 1940s car. Now, again, it didn't match the time frame that was in there, but who cares? So we got 3 classic cars in the film. So, so it's you're kind of a jack of all trades and do what you can. If you can't afford to buy all this heavy duty equipment, okay, so you make your own dolly. You make this. You try to do this, and you do what you can to work with what you got. And I think it's great that you guys are highlighting a lot of folks like this to get out there, because there's a lot of funny people, and God knows the world could use that right now. So,
right, I know. I always like to promote. There's a shark movie that I absolutely love. Well, it's kind of a shark movie. It's called Bad CGI Sharks. It's kind of like a Carousel.
Okay.
It's low budget, but they purposely was like making fun of shark exploitation films. And they're so funny. I talked to the guys a lot. I'd actually had them on my channel on a podcast. But yeah, I'm always promoting them. Their movie is so funny. They have like Michael Myers reference, and I forget what else, but
that's
they
great.
have all sorts of different stuff in it. It's on Tubi as well. Yeah, I'm always talking about those guys. Their movie's great. They had like it was under $7,000 budget. I don't remember the exact amount. I used to know it, but it was like under $7,000, and yeah, the movie is just freaking hilarious.
And look, there's you've got I saw a trailer for a movie called Holy Shit Man, which but this demon plumber guy. It's but you can tell they're having just a blast making this film. That they're having such a good time with it, and so you can't help but just be a part of that and enjoy the fact that, okay, you can see on film. Yes, okay, is it Oscar-worthy acting? No. Are the effects great? But who cares? You know what? For the hour and a half or whatever it is, you're going to laugh your ass off. And that's great. That's absolutely great.
And people going into these movies, they need to know it's not going to be award-winning, but there is also talent in it as well, and hard work put into it. I mean, there's some great stuff.
Absolutely. It takes a lot to put yourself out there like that, especially for an indie guy. You need to have a thick skin, because you're going to get hit by trolls on the internet who are going to say, well, it doesn't look as good as this, or it wasn't as good as this. And you know what? Right. You need to just let all that kind of roll off your back and not worry about it. That's great. Spell my name right. That's the main thing. So, but outside of that, it's it takes a lot for somebody to actually go through the motions, have a dream, put it together, and then get it out there, whether it's self-done or through a distributor or whatever it is. That's a great accomplishment, and it doesn't matter what it is. So
exactly, and they got it out there. You didn't. I mean,
exactly.
What have you done?
What have you done? So
the titles are like so outrageous. It's like, what are you expecting when you watch it?
Yes.
It's like you watch something like I really like asylum movies. We'll use Sharknado for example. You can't compare that to
Jaws,
Jaws or Conjuring or something like that. I was like, you're watching sharks in a tornado as physically
It's,
impossible. Or lava lantula. Spiders in lava.
It's which I actually like lava lantula. I saw that.
Wasn't Steve Gutenberg in that one, or am I thinking another one? Okay,
there's a lot of police academy people in that movie. There was a lot of them.
So
I was just gonna say before it scrolls up too much, Doomsday was saying that indie stuff. He thinks indie stuff is supported. Or superior, I'm sorry, superior in many ways to big budget horror, and honestly a trend not going away but growing and continuing to get better and with more talent. And then also an area for 80s horror actors to rejuvenate their career.
Yeah, look, I mean, conventions have been a great thing. You had Dawn Wells, who was Marianne on Gilligan's Island, just passed away recently. But she went to conventions and stuff. I mean, you've got some, you've got lesser Star Trek characters that say, I was Ensign Redshirt number 4, and you can still go on stage. Yeah, Ensign Redshirt number 4. It's okay, great. You know what? It's have fun with it all. But I do think people are looking for stuff that, if you were old enough, made you happy back when, and I'd love to see this person again. Sure, if I was ever to stand in front of Linda Carter, I'd melt because I was a huge Wonder Woman fan when it was on, because, well, she just was Linda Carter.
Wonderful.
And so it was, as a little boy, that was a great show. So it's those kind of things that people want to recapture again, especially given the state of the world. Everybody wants to go back and say, yeah, okay, this used to make me smile. I'd like to smile again. I know, that's great. Oh yeah, well, she got a little old, but still, that's great. Look at it, it's wonderful. So one of the groups I follow on Facebook here in New York, there was a show on during the 70s called The Magic Garden, which was a kid's show, Sesame Street kind of a thing. But it was these two ladies who had a very simple set down in WPIX, which was Channel 11 here in New York, and just did this Saturday morning kids show. And it got such a big following in the 70s that they still, to this day, the two women who are now about 80, still do singing concerts and stuff. And there's a lot of old people here like me in the 50s and 60s who are saying, yeah, that's great. It's like, okay, yeah, I remember when they did that. And so you have fun with it all. I keep going back to that because that life should be fun. Life should be fun. That's really what it's for.
Carla was saying that she does voices and impressions. How does she get her foot in the door, and how did you?
Okay. There's a couple of ways you want to approach that. Depends on how serious you are and what exactly you want to do. So, for instance, I mentioned that I had done some training with Rob Paulson. And I asked him, I said, can you help me? He said, sure. He's like, you're talented. I could get you in with agents. I could probably get you jobs with casting directors and get you on some shows. When are you moving to LA? And I said, I'm not. It's like, well, that's a problem then. But okay, at that point, I'm married. I got 2 kids. I can't just drop everything and say, okay, I'm moving to LA. Which is why most of the stories you hear is, well, I was 18 years old. I packed up everything and went to LA. So it really depends on what you want to do. If your goal is to be on the next Simpsons or Rick and Morty or anybody else like that, then you need to start making contacts. You need to, I would highly recommend taking acting lessons because more so than even on screen, voice acting is acting because all you have is your voice. People can't see you do things. So you need to make sure you're conveying everything with your voice. So training is very, very important. Sorry to give such a serious answer on that, but that's really what it is. There are showcases that are out there. If you want to know about cartoons and stuff, there is a website that's called So You Want to Be a Voice Actor.com. And that is, oh goodness, I'm so bad with names. He's one of the big voice actors that's out there. Also gives lessons, and this is kind of his introduction into doing that. There are plenty of sites like that where they can do things. The other thing you can do is, especially here, I mean, we're talking about indie stuff. If you know folks that are doing films, ask. hey, is there anything I can do? Or produce your own content. And again, it doesn't have to be anything big. You can just take a video of you, okay, here I am, I'm holding this plug, okay? The entire video could be turning it this way and just getting a close-up on it and just saying, hello, my name is Pluggy. I'm here to talk to you a bit about this. I have a horrible existence. Every day, stupid guy comes over and shoves something into my mouth. And I wind up for 4 hours with this stupid thing in my mouth until he comes back. There you go. Okay. Put that on YouTube.
At least it's his mouth that's getting
See, I'm trying to keep it clean.
You don't have to. Don't worry.
But you can do something like that, throw it up on YouTube, and all of a sudden you went viral. And okay, you're a megastar. It's you never know what's. I mean, hell, who would have thought something called an annoying orange would have?
Right. Oh my God!
Yeah, it's you never know what's going to catch on. So the key thing is just to do it. But be prepared to have people tell you, well, that was stupid. Okay. Did you have fun doing it? Yes. Then that's all that matters. So that's really where it is. If you're just doing it as a hobby to have fun, make something, do something, and put it out there. If it's just because you have fun with it and you're not caring about doing it as anything else, go to a kindergarten class and read a book and do characters. Okay. They're not going to critique you. Sorry, that's it. It's no, the accent is slightly wrong. No, kids are laughing. You can do anything like that as long as it's something you're enjoying doing. If you want to make a serious play and make a career of it, then yes, then do the work that's behind it to get trained to understand what's involved in that. Even odd skills, not so much anymore because everybody uses iPads, but one of the skills you had to know as a voiceover back in the day is how to turn pages. Because when you're talking, if you're turning a page in the script and it makes too much noise, the mic picks it up. So one of the things you had to learn how to do was how to turn pages quietly. Now, don't have to worry about that so much anymore because everybody's, flicking things on a screen, but it's still the same thing. How do you know how to go in? If I wear a shirt that's too stiff and starchy, especially if I'm moving around, that it's going to pick up the wrinkling on the microphone because the microphones are very sensitive. Okay, I can't do that. So, okay, you wear t-shirts. So there are things you're going to pick up along the way as you get more serious that you may not think about. That, oh, okay, I didn't realize you could do that. And folks will help you along the way. If there are plenty of communities out there for acting and voice acting, especially on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else, Instagram, everywhere. And just chat with people, just like we're chatting now. So, yeah. Okay, I'll stop there. We got a bunch of stuff that's clipped up. So
yeah.
Let's see. Chadwick was saying that he had a film come out, a short, that people said that it sucked. However, I'm going to make my next one even better. He's not giving up.
Good. Question, Chadwick. My question there is: did you enjoy your first one? Did you think it was a great experience? When you look back at it, do you say, you know what? Yeah, that did suck. But I understand why it sucked, and now I can do better. If so, then that's great. If not, and you say, I don't care that guy didn't like it. Okay, not everybody liked Carousel because they're like, well, how does it move? Thinking.
I have a sense of humor.
Right. So just enjoy. So that's really all I can say. So
some people are just like super critic. I've seen Chadwick short. It's not awful. It's decent, pretty good. So
a ringing endorsement from Miss Boomstick on that.
It doesn't suck. It's
decent. That's okay.
He said it was amazing. He loved it. So
good.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Look, if you go in and you're expecting that you're going to make the next Citizen Kane, but it's about Attack of the Killer Donuts, then you're probably going in with the wrong expectations. Now, one of the jokes I always use when I describe my movies is, Carousel is the Citizen Kane of killer unicorn movies. It's so okay. Yeah, I can say that again.
They're only like what, 2? Because Cabin in the Woods had a unicorn for a brief moment, and I can't think of another one besides Carousel.
Cabin in the Woods was a great film.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I hate
Joss Whedon.
Phenomenal
Yes,
film.
exactly.
There's so many nods to so many horror movies, especially when they have all the monsters there. It was just so much to it, and people's just like, "Oh, this is stupid," but I love it.
I see, and you could tell they had a good time with it. One of the reasons the Evil Dead series also is because they're having fun. Okay, when you think about Evil Dead 2 is just Evil Dead 1 with more humor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. It's I mean on a same type of thing, but in a completely different realm. They made a movie called The Lion King 1.5.
Yeah, that was so like all the scenes in between. We were there,
right? Because it was. They're like, you know what? We want to have fun with this. Let us ad lib a movie. Okay, so you know that's when you're Matthew and Nathan Lane.
When they all bowed, it was because he had farted and they passed out. And they're like, "Oh, they're kneeling. We should kneel."
So you know those types of things where you can just share joy on the screen. That's great. Is everybody going to get it and enjoy it? No, but everybody doesn't have to. So as long as you're enjoying it, do stuff that you enjoy, and eventually there'll be somebody just as twisted as you are who will enjoy it too. And that's really what this is all about.
Carla said, "Thank you. My mom had always encouraged me. I appreciate the input and advice."
No problem. And hi to Carla's mom.
And she also, prior above that too, I skipped over that, was saying her and her friend do like an old lady skit with a backstory.
Sure. And again, you can, as long as you've got a good imagination, you can think of anything. And it again doesn't matter what it is, like we did with the little plug thing here. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is at all. I mean, if you want to look at improv, I mean, you can look at Robin Williams and you could look at Jonathan Winters. And when the two of them got together on Mork and Mindy, that was like comedy heaven, because you go everywhere with this. And when you've got a brain that can work that fast and can do so much with, here's a pen, but I've turned it into 1,000 different characters. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. And not everybody is going to be Jonathan Winters or Robin Williams. I certainly am not. But you work with what you have. And so, you know what? If you're having fun doing your skit of two old ladies with a backstory, great. That's terrific. And there's been plenty of shows that just do that. So that's terrific.
Yeah, I did something when I was having the guys from Bad CGI Sharks come on my channel for a podcast, saying, my shark here, I wore it. I have a green screen set up upstairs, and I sat there because I got a bum leg, so I can't like be jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
Sitting in the chair, I got my shark head on. I had like a t-shirt that had a shark on it. And I tried to change my voice, but I sounded really stupid. Then I was like trying to promote the show, but I was Miss Shark instead of Miss Boomstick. And so I had like a whole little kind of skit. It didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted, but I tried. I made a fool out of myself. I made an ass.
You know what? Everybody should make a fool out of themselves at some point in their life. And you should be able to look back on it and laugh at it. Now,
I was trying to bring attention to the guys coming for the thing, so I just like put on a whole big like show type thing.
Very good, very, very good. I think it's all this stuff is terrific, guys. It really is. It really is. Yeah, if you've got any questions, any topic, again, like I said, I'll at least give you an answer. Whether it's true or not is up to you to decide. But
what is the meaning of life?
Well, I used to tell people in sales meetings when I train sales staff, I said, if you can't explain to me how this product or service solves world hunger, then I don't want to talk to you anymore. And people look at you, what does that mean? You should be able to tell me how anything can solve world hunger. Well, how do you do that? Okay, so let's take the unicorn horn that's up there. I will tell you how that can solve world hunger. Okay, that unicorn horn is made of special materials that are brought up in a third world country where people have been mining that unicorn horn material for a long, long time. They do that not because they are being exploited, because they enjoy it. And it brings to them money and happiness into their community. That love and happiness then expands into other places. And because of that, they built a transportation network. That transportation network then brought in food into their village. And as they did, it continued to spread out, and they saw that famine was disappearing everywhere just because of that unicorn. And that's the kind of story you could tell. So it's you could see you're enraptured here by what I'm telling you here, but it's, you know, you should be able to create a story about anything. See, and you thought it was just a silly horn, but it's solving world hunger. So you need to be able to do that. I think it's you know, have fun with stuff, folks. I'm going to keep saying it. Keep having fun with stuff. That's what all this stuff is about. And I don't care whether it's this or whether you're on a ghost hunt somewhere and you're trying to commune with spirits or anything else. If you're into the paranormal, terrific, and go through the paranormal and have fun with that as well. So
we've done a little bit here because our house is like over 100 years old, so we have a couple like spirits sessions that are on my channel. But yeah, we've had some weird stuff happen here.
Well, I used to live in an old house that I had for a while, and nobody in the house smoked. But every once in a while, you would get like somebody standing right in front of your face, and you'd get a puff of cigarette smoke right in your face, and you'd feel it and you'd smell it. And sooner or later, we figured out that it was the lady who used to live there back in the 30s, a lady named Mary. But, you know, my thing there was that, well, look, you know, she doesn't eat much. As long as the walls aren't bleeding and things like that, you want to hang out? I don't care. That's fine. So go ahead and stay. Actually, I see in the camera here, this Rockwood Museum in Delaware. This shirt's actually from a ghost hunt that I was on. So you can have fun doing almost anything, and you should. So I see lots of stuff clicking up here. What do we got?
Doomsday.
Slasher. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they were talking about
Chadrick are talking about Slasher. Slashers, like what Carla says, like a Facebook for horror fans. I promoted this on Slasher because I am a slasher. So she must have came up from there. So she's telling Chadrick to promote his stuff on there. Very
good. Very, very good.
And then Doomsday was saying, what's been the most fun project you've worked on?
The fun answer in Hollywood for that is always the next one, because you want to make sure you get hired somewhere. But for me, it's you know, Carousel has been the most widely well received. Puppet Monster Massacre also got a great cult following, which was great. And I enjoyed doing Brain Eater Jones, the audiobook. So that was a lot of fun for me. Also on the audio side, I had done, there was the same guys that did the Sherlock Holmes did a Halloween special with Poe readings. And so they had the horror of Poe. So with that, they let me have fun with that because I get certain voices in my head when I'm reading something. So for instance, you know, with The Raven, one of the characters from the other show was Officer Weathers, as I said, who kind of sounds like Duke. So I had him read The Raven. So it was, you know, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary. And, you know, you have fun with that. Or I was doing the Telltale Heart. But when you read it in my head, I kept hearing it in German. So it was, oh, very, very nervous I was and am. And it's, you know, the Descent into the Maelstrom, I use this kind of weird pseudo-Norwegian accent for that. I'm like, you know what? Sounds good to me, so why not? And they let me do those things and have fun. So that's those are the things that make me smile.
I seen that you produced your first film, Skinless. How was it producing? Like, how much of a big change for you?
Skinless actually was one of Dustin Mills' films. So I got a producer credit because I gave him some money. That was
I went off IMDb. I didn't know.
Right. That was like an Indiegogo thing or something like that. And so you gave enough money, you got a producer credit. So that was that's all that was. So it was a wonderful experience for me, and I'd definitely do it again. So.
What dream role do you have? What's something that you really want to portray?
Well, I'd love to do something on a real Star Trek show, not the current crop of crap, but because I am a Trekkie.
I get what you mean. I've had to watch it
too. It's not even that it's just bad Star Trek. It's just bad TV. They're just written horribly. I'm sorry. Pet peeve of mine is you need to stay consistent in your universe. So if I'm in a universe where people have 4 arms and can fly, then people have 4 arms and can fly. It shouldn't be later in the story that no, that they're 3-armed people. And they have to take the subway. Why? Oh, well, because we just changed it. That's not what was there. So it's stuff like that bugs me. But and now I lost. Oh, as far as believe it or not, I would love to be on a preschool TV show. I would love to do some sort of a cartoon where little kids would say, "Oh, look, that's Peppa Pig, that's this," or whatever it is, something like that. And again, I get an action figure. So I would definitely do one of that, or a smart TV show, like a Phineas and Ferb or something like that. Or I'd love to be on SpongeBob. SpongeBob would be,
that would be great. The dude who does Olaf, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he was in a horror movie recently.
Josh Gad.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He was in what was it? It was a zombie movie. It's on Hulu. Oh my God, it's hilarious! Little Monsters.
Oh, Little Monsters. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was
no. It's not Howie Mandel. It's a new one. It's got.
Okay. I was thinking.
No, it's not the.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking the Howie Mandel one. Okay, with the clothing, the form.
The theme light. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Who put this in my apple juice?
That's right. So I'll have to check it out. I'll have to
he's in it, and there's some other people in it too, like the woman from I think it's Us.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I can't think of names.
I'm horrible with them as well.
Yeah, and it's like a little summer camp where kids, and like there's a zombie outbreak, and they're trying to keep the kids distracted and whatnot,
and not to see the zombies and killing.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a game. We gotta go do this, and it's really good. Josh Gad has an interesting scene. I'll put it that way.
Well, I don't know if you saw there was the movie on the banana splits that came out.
Yes, I own it.
That was. I mean, they were strange when they were running that show straight, but this was just a strange film. Have you ever wanted to do a Jim Henson thing? I think he was a genius. I was a huge fan. I was born when Sesame Street started, and so I grew up on Sesame Street. I would have loved to have done something like that. But the thing there is the puppeteering. The guys who are doing the puppets and doing them are doing the voices. So its own very, very special skill.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I'd love to do anything. That would be terrific. If you know somebody, give them my name. I'm here. So.
Maybe we'll see you on the Orville. That'd be cool.
Seth, if you're out there.
Yeah, it'd be great if Seth.
Oh, he's coming on next week. I'll tell you. I'll mention it.
Oh, all right. Well, that's okay. That's fine. So that's fine. So.
Mr. Shark made him come on.
He's a draw. And so, I think there's again, guys, this is all about having fun and doing what you love, and whatever it is, that's what. Again, some people are going to hate it, and that's okay. As long as you're enjoying it, you'll find others that enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, what else, any movies or anything you've been watching right now you want to discuss besides not Star Trek?
I'm excited for the Ghostbusters movie.
Yes, I saw that trailer.
I think that's the way things should be. You pay respect to what came before, and you do. I think that's so. I think the Ghostbusters film I'm looking forward to.
It looks amazing. Trailers.
Saw a trailer for a weird film called Lamb.
Was that the Nick Cage one? I think?
No, that's Pig. which I'm going to watch Pig as well. But Lamb is about from what I could tell from the trailer, is about a hybrid human lamb that is born from a lamb, and it's got a creepy vibe to it as well, because humans are trying to rear the lamb in the house, but the mother lamb keeps coming like up to stare at them, like, what are you doing with my kid, kind of a thing. so it looks like a weird film. I can tell you a film that everybody went crazy for, but I did not care for. Midsummer. I don't know if you saw it. Midsummer, everybody, oh my God, this is the best film ever. This is, and I'm just like, nah, I didn't quite get it. But again, like anything else.
I didn't like Hereditary, and because I didn't like that, and people are doing the same with that movie as they are with Midsummer, I was like, do I want to put myself through like 3 to 4 hours of a movie that I'm probably not going to like, because it's what I've been told is pretty much like the same.
It's
not the same story, but like the same vibe. I'll put it that way.
I liked it, but it was kind of long. That's the thing. I mean, it had a good concept. I liked it, but it was a long movie.
If you want to watch a real slow burn horror film, it was called The Witch, which was VVITC.
Yeah, that's like the only slow burn I like.
that was an excellent film, and the fact that they went through takes place in this 17th century, Amish there, that they really took the time to keep the speech patterns and keep everything historically accurate along with it as well, was just terrific, actually. So but it's not what you would expect in things. So it was, but I really enjoyed that film. Other stuff that's come out, unfortunately, not so much anymore. I think that, again, without getting too political on stuff, I think a lot of things have gone off a cliff, whether it's Star Wars or Star Trek or Doctor Who or what's happening now in the MCU. I think it's a shame that there's so many years and decades of stuff to build on that have built audiences, and it just seems like the folks at the top just don't care. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that, my thought on that has always been, look, if I'm inviting you to stay in my house, okay, then you have to respect my house. And yes, you can live here, you can do things in it, you can make it your home, but you know what? You can't tear out its foundation and change everything about it and say, okay, well, this is still your house. No, that's not what it is. You're playing in my sandbox. Keep to my rules. It's going back to cartoons. If the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, he had 9 rules on how to draw it. It always had to take place in the American Southwest. No one would speak. The only characters were the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And that's why you never see, them in space or anything like that. They never did anything like that because those are the rules. So if I were to come back and say, okay, I'm going to reboot Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, and I'm going to set it in Hawaii. No, that's not what it's about. You should, if I want to make my own cartoon of similar things, again, Star Trek and the Orville. I don't like what they're doing. I'm going to make my own, and I'm going to call it the Orville. I think it's wrong that what they've done with a lot of these things to just basically say, hey, sorry you did that for 50 years, but we're going to take it in a different direction and screw you. So
right, yeah, I totally agree with that. And even if you like the characters or like the previous stuff, like the new Discovery, whatever, I like a lot of the actors, but but I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, so I'm not really the one to speak. But I was like, I'd rather watch William Shatner.
And he's 90 years old and still having a good time with everything. He's got like 4 shows, and he's still, going around the world doing things, and just that's great. Very cool Tuesday as well. I see your grandfather worked for Sesame Street, got to meet Henson, so that's great.
That's awesome.
But even Sesame Street had to change over the years. They had, there was a character originally on Sesame Street called Roosevelt Franklin in the 70s, who was a black Muppet. But he was very much a 70s Jive Turkey kind of black Muppet. They had to write him out as taste changed and things like that. And and then other things that you don't think about. This is stuff in kids shows. Talking about kids shows, they had a guy who was I forgot the composer, but he played the piano. He was making fun of I forgot who it was, but he would write songs. Was trying to write "Mary Had a Little Lamb" and came up with "Mary Had a Bicycle." But whenever he couldn't figure something, he'd bang his head on the piano, and they had to stop writing the character because kids were banging their heads on pianos and desks to be funny like him. So you have a big responsibility when you're doing these things with folks. Okay, so if you have a killer unicorn, do not try to imitate the killer unicorn and stab people. So
do not use your horn.
That is frowned upon in polite society. So,
yeah, I can't go running around with this. Well, I can't run anyway, but I can't go hobbling around with this.
It's horny woman run amok. Watch out! Watch out! So.
There's actually, I remember now, an episode of Supernatural where there was a unicorn actually in one episode of Supernatural that ran someone through. Yeah.
My son watched it. I watched a few episodes. I thought it was interesting, but I never got into all 50.
I could never remember which brother was which, so that was hard for me to keep separate. So, like most girls, like, oh, this one's hot, this one's hot. I was like, now which one's which? But I never really watched.
The one that was on, not Gilmore Girls. Yeah, I think it was Gilmore Girls. Jared was on, or one of those like WB shows.
Well, I think there's always something for everybody out there. Otherwise, the CW wouldn't be on the air. So
barely.
There's some really bad shows on the CW. But
I have heard
Carla said,
but I have heard that Lois and Clark is really good.
Yes, the new Superman series, Superman and Lois. I've heard that's an excellent show. I
found out
a few episodes behind, but it's been,
But Superman, the dude that plays him, he was in I think it was a Grizzly movie. I want to say it was Grizzly Rage. I might not be 100% on that, but because I did reviews on some Grizzly movies, and I found him in a Grizzly movie, and he's like running around in his trunks. So if y'all like the dude that plays the new Superman and Superman and Lois, I'm pretty sure it's Grizzly Rage. Check it out.
There we go. Okay.
Around his trunks.
He was also on MTV's Teen Wolf. Also, he was on that on Teen Wolf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a
little fact there.
That's good to know. It's good to know.
Exactly. Knowing
the more
is
you know.
Running around in his trunks, and you find out he was on MTV. Probably found out a lot more than he wanted to know about him.
Speaking of running around,
MTV isn't really music television anymore.
No,
they ended that a long time ago.
I had a guy who I answered an interview question for who there was a Craigslist ad, which is always dangerous. And so I met the guy, and he's like, well, we're doing a wrestling film. I said, a wrestling film? Okay. She's like, yeah, so we would just need you to put on a little wrestling outfit, and it would be like a fun kind of a tickle kind of a wrestler thing. And I'm like, okay, and this is being shown where and how are you doing? And so I did not take that, and that would be an OnlyFans channel in itself, or a Lonely Fans channel in itself. But there are some things best left even not to the imagination, and 6 foot 300 pound hairy guy is not something you want to look at like that. So but it takes all kinds out there. So you never know.
Only on Craigslist.
You never know what you're going to find out there. So it's so I try to stay away from the cameras like that. Is long.
So I guess you would say that's probably the weirdest encounter that you've had.
Well, that one in person, yes, that was very, very weird. I had not been propositioned like that before, so flattered, but it's kind of the thing, any film like that you'd want me to be in, I wouldn't want to watch. So it's so that's just wrong. That's just all kinds of wrong. So yeah, we don't need that. So no, we don't need But there's this, yeah. You could sign contracts with cannibals on Craigslist. I don't doubt that. Craigslist is a wild and weird place for all kinds of things. One of the things they'll do on Craigslist in the voiceover thing is they'll put somebody's phone number there. And they'll say, well, we need an audition for a pirate. You need to call this number and speak as a pirate. Because they're just, playing a scam on somebody on the other side. All these people call it. So
you get paid for it.
That's exactly. So you never know. You never know what that I think that there's a market for anybody. Silver Bullet, American Werewolf in Paris are my favorite werewolf movies. I much prefer American Werewolf in London to the sequel. Yeah. American Werewolf in London was a great film. Again, Jim Henson involved in that. He did, after his friend was kind of decomposing, all of that Muppetry was in the Jim Henson Studios. But that was a terrific film. I thought that was great. I never had a film that, there are some films I don't want to see. There's the torture porn kind of stuff that's out there. I thought the first Saw movie was really, really good. But, by Saw 27, you're, okay, so he chopped off the guy's arm again. He did it. And it's like, okay, we saw enough of this kind of stuff. But, and I've never watched The Exorcist all the way. It's just, some kind of thing. When I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, the teacher was friendly with one of the actors who was the younger priest on The Exorcist. And he came in and told all kinds of stories about how whenever you're trying to make a serious movie about the devil, weird things happen. And so people on sick, the light would fall out of the nowhere and, all this weird stuff would happen. So while I'm into the paranormal and believe in all of that type of stuff, that means I also believe in a lot of bad stuff, and I don't need to dip my toe in that kind of pool. So some images I don't need to see. So.
Yeah, there have been some cursed movies like that, like
that was
like Poltergeist, even.
Poltergeist was good.
They had dead bodies. Skeletons floating in that, and
yes, it was. There's fun movie stuff like that. In The Godfather, that was a real horse's head in the guy's bed. They had gotten it from a butcher, because they eat horse meat out in Europe, so they got a real horse's head and put it in the bed for the guy. On the funnier side, Mel Brooks, Dracula Dead and Loving It. There's a scene where he's driving the stake through the lady in the thing, and gush of blood come out. I mean, Mel Brooks, he told the actor, look, it's not going to be that bad. It's a little bit that's just going to squirt out. You may get some on your costume, but you'll be fine. And it was like gallons that it goes a guy down in over and over again.
He's like, oh god, yeah.
Just to
he was having a game there.
Exactly. It was. I love Mel Brooks. I did an homage to Young Frankenstein in this. I don't know if it's going to make it into the film in Carousel 2, but we'll have to talk about that after the release to see if an ad lib I did made it in there. Carla's asking about abductions. I'm assuming you're talking about UFO abductions. So if we're in movies or real UFO abductions, that's a topic. That's a topic in itself. If we're talking about UFO abductions,
right? But, you even did a UFO movie. What was it? I saw something about UFOs in your Internet Movie Database. Speaking of that,
yes. So there was which is strange. There's a credit in there that has a picture from a movie I'm not in. I don't know why, but it's.
Not everything on IMDb is true.
but I did do a play which then got filmed, where this was about the UFOs in Roswell and having to deal with the Cambridge Five, which was these English Cambridge graduates who were spying for the Russians in the 50s. and so it was a take on that. But no, I used to have a UFO website way back in the 90s, actually, when the internet was young and free. And it was really just for experiencers to post their stories, because at that point, every UFO site that there was, and when the joke about the start of the internet was that when historians look back, it'll say founded by Trekkies and perverts, and that's pretty much true and not mutually exclusive. But the UFO sites back then were all about, this is bad or this is this, and everybody offering commentary. And so I just put up a site that said, tell me your story. I'll publish it. I may put a comment or two, but that's it, and just get it off your chest. And I had the fun thing I had with that, I was tracking where everybody was coming from. And so anytime somebody from a government server came in, I posted, and welcome to our visitors from NASA, the FAA, from the FBI. And I had dozens of federal agencies that had checked out the site. And so, but that was fun to do also. It was a nice thing just to have people, and, some stories just sound way, way out there, and other stories were, obviously heartfelt to a lot of people and had weird experiences that they couldn't explain and just wanted to say it without getting ridiculed. So that's what the site was about as well back then.
My aunt was a government agent that was pretty high up, high enough that she was able to go to Bush Sr.'s funeral, we'll put it that way.
Okay. Okay.
And I remember when she first met my uncle and whatever, and I started dating. She would tell us that she had known some people that had worked at Area 51, and they'd be in separate rooms, and they'd be working on something, and they couldn't know what each other. Where she got these stories from, I don't know, but that's what she would tell us. She might just be telling us kids that, for all I know.
I think in a universe this large, that to say that the only life in the universe is here on Earth is kind of arrogant. So I think that there's plenty of life that's out there in the universe. I think life more than we know. I think that we have been visited. I think that the government knows a lot more than it's saying on a whole bunch of topics. And I find all of that stuff very, very interesting. Especially when I'm a science geek as well, a tech geek. So I like thinking about, okay, well, this anti-grav does this, and how does this work, and how do you warp space, and okay, could you build the Enterprise? Could you do that? And all of that. So I think that there's a lot of stuff there that will come out and will continue to come out. And I think now that everybody's got a 4K camera on their phone, you'll start seeing clearer pictures and more interesting stuff if you check out various YouTube channels that are popular on that stuff too. But I'm big into all the paranormal and UFO stuff. That's a big hobby of mine as well.
I'm really into cryptids, paranormal, and UFO stuff, and I watch a lot of it's usually compilation videos. I'll have a bunch of people submit or whatever, and they pick the top 5 or 10 or whatever, and you watch. Some are obviously fake, but some you
try to figure out what it's about.
Yeah. I hate the ones that are fake. They'll make either fake crop circles or fake videos or outrageous stories that are obviously sounding fake the way they say it. It's seriously or want the truth. It kind of makes all of us like that, but it's not true.
Well, yes, some of that are people being stupid, and some of that is active folks trying to create doubt, so that the real stuff gets dismissed as well. But I had, one of the things that I'm an amateur hypnotist as well. And so, I've done past life regressions on people and things like that. And that's also very, very interesting stuff when you hear what people say and how they say it and what they're pulling up, and try to compare it to what may have been real back then and things like that. And so, those get into all kinds of fun conversations as well. But hypnotism is, and it helps in sales. But it's it's exactly so.
Use the force. This is the item you're looking for.
It's true. You guys may not have noticed, but Carla took her shirt off about 3 minutes ago. So it's that's that's the kind of things you can do with this without the noise. And if I say the word tambourine, she's going to don't even watch the dance she's doing right now. But there's a lot of stuff like that you know, I could talk for a long time on those topics too. So
Carla said she did. I did.
So, and he's psychic too.
That's
and you're psychic too. You do.
So, I am an amateur psychic as well, but that's a whole other story. I used to watch, you know, the John Edward shows and all those things just to see if I could key in on the same things that they did. And sometimes yes, sometimes no. But it's those are all interesting. If you, what I will say, I won't get into psychic stuff too much, but if you, the more you open yourself up to all of those things, whether you're looking for ghosts, you're trying to communicate, you're, you know, doing those things, stay away from Ouija boards. But if you are trying to open up there, everybody has an antenna. You're born with it. You're born with those abilities. It's just most people learn to shut them off. No, you didn't see that. Oh no, little Johnny, it's okay. That wasn't real, and you just imagined it, and so ultimately you turn it off. You can turn it back on, and the more you look for stuff, the more you will find. That's good and bad. So again, like anything else, go in understanding, hey, if I'm trying to find, which is why I never understand, if you're watching a ghost show, like I will like watching the on the Discovery Channel, show the clips from all over the world of you know, folks filming things, and you have some ghost hunter out in Romania who is, you know, in a to find ghosts, and they see a ghost and they all run away screaming. Well, what the hell were you there for? It's like,
I don't know, right?
Congratulations, you found what you were looking for, and now run away. No, that's it. So it's you know, that kind of thing. But the more you open yourself up to that, the more you're going to get, and then it's just a question of tuning that antenna to figure out what it is that you want to find, and you can do that. But some of the things that you just need to be aware that there are some doors you probably shouldn't open, and some doors that are tough to get closed once they are open. So that's how Ouija sharks come out, things like that. So you gotta watch for that type of stuff.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I mean, I was going to say, I've had a couple of weird psychic things when I was younger. I used to do taekwondo, and I remember my dad, like as a joke from Tarzan, he would call me boy, like, you know, from old Tarzan. Yeah. And I swear one time I was either tired, I don't remember the whole thing, but I swear when I was doing push-ups and he had that look on his face, in my head, I swear I heard him thinking, come on, boy, like, and it kept echoing in my head really, really loud. Like, I swear like he was saying it. And I had asked him what he was thinking, and he said, maybe, I'm not sure. I go, this is a really weird question. And I told him what happened when I was doing that. And then I had a dream, that my mom was at Walmart. Like, I was there watching it. Like, I wasn't there, but like I was seeing everything that was going on. And there was like some little kid, just standing at the end, or wherever, the entrance, or not far from the entrance. And she walks up to him and goes, did you lose your mommy or daddy? And I'm watching all this stuff going on. Like, this is weird. And then this guy came up and said, oh, this is my son. I've been looking for him. And he was like, oh, dad, like, you know, it was his dad. Like, he wasn't acting scared or anything. And while we were driving up, like, this might have been a week later or something, and my mom was saying, oh, well, when you were at school or whatever, I was at Walmart, and there was this kid, and I walked up to him, and I just automatically go, did you lose your mommy or daddy? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, was he wearing a striped shirt? Like, I described it, everything exactly. Okay. And I finished her story, like everything, the dad coming up, and she was just like, that's exactly what happens.
See, but that's good. It's that type of thing that where you need to be, again, are you willing to be made a fool of? I used to joke with people and say, okay, well, if you're trying to commune with spirits like they do on the TV shows, and you know, but you know, do you have the courage to walk up to somebody and say, hey, do you know a dead guy named Phil? It's you know, these are the types of things that most people don't want to do. Also, the people on TV are usually petite women, and seeing a 300-pound, 6-foot tall guy come up to you and say, hey, do you know a dead guy named Phil? You want to? They start running away before you get close. But I'll give you the one Ouija story I can give you, though, is when I was, this is probably now 30 years ago or 25 years ago, but I was living in Manhattan, And I was home from work for whatever reason. I was by myself, and we had, the Parker Brothers Ouija board that everybody's got and that they sell in Toys R Us.
I used to have one back in the day.
So I said, you know what? I know you're not supposed to use it by yourself, but what's the worst that could happen? Which is the start of every horror movie that's ever been made. And so, but I said, I said to myself, okay, God, if you're up there and I'm not supposed to do this, give me a sign. And immediately the phone rang, and I picked it up, and there was no one there. And I hung up the phone, and I said, interesting. Yeah, but not really a sign. Okay, so I do this again. Then the buzzer rings. Now, this is Manhattan, so, you buzz in people from downstairs. So the buzzer rings and there's someone at the door. So I'm like, hello, how can I help you? And they said, oh, this is such and such. We're selling Bibles. Okay, thank you. And I said, yep, I got it. No problem. Put the thing away. I'm done. It's done. Like, okay, so there's my Ouija story. I don't play with those. So
I don't remember having a bad experience with mine, but it was me and my mom was doing it because the house at the time we was living. I had my first experience with like haunted houses. I think it was like 10-ish, and so we got a Ouija board to try to figure out what was going on. So I don't know if she was just messing with me and like moving stuff around, or if we was actually like getting stuff. I don't really know, but I never had any bad experiences. Then the board disappeared. I don't know what happened to it.
A lot of it has to, especially in that realm, has to do with intention. So if you're intending just to goof around and have fun, you usually can't get in too much trouble. If you are intending, I want to open a portal to hell, you may not open a portal to hell, but you might, do something you're not supposed to. So it really is on the intention of things. I had my wife and I, we go on these various ghost tours, and we go to mediums that are doing group readings just to see what it's about. We went to a place in upstate New York that the woman kind of decorated her house like a haunted house year round, but she was also a medium. And she was there and had a second medium with her. And so everybody is sitting around the table. And my wife and I are sitting on a bench on the side that's cushioned. And we're both looking at the seat next to us, and we can tell that the cushion went down. And so in my head, I'm seeing this little girl who's kind of, making her legs flip because she can't reach the ground. And she saw somebody that was a little bit older, but we're seeing this. And then I'm also, and again, when I go to these things, I try to key in to see if I can pick up on what they're picking up on. And the woman who owned the house was across the way from me, across the room. And I'm looking at her back. She was facing. And all of a sudden, out of her back, this thing turns and looks at me. And basically, in my head, I'm hearing it yell at me saying, do not embarrass me in my own house. And I'm like, well, that's new. Okay, I haven't seen that. That's interesting. We went upstairs. My wife had to go to the bathroom. She wouldn't go to the bathroom by herself. So I went in the bathroom with her, and up there, the kids' rooms were down the hall, and we both could see this old woman who was, again, the same owner, but just in a different form, who was kind of guarding things. And the attic was my wife, who's also a bit sensitive. The attic is screaming at her, you're not allowed to come up here. And I'm like, come on, what's the worst that could happen? So she pulled me away, and we didn't go up in the attic either. But it's, again, when you start looking for those types of things, you can pick up on stuff. And there are some people that are good at what they do, and some people that aren't. And part of that is part show, and part of it is part talent for what you're doing. But you can, again, it comes down to intention and what you're there to do. If anybody is in the New York area and you want to have some weird stuff happen, go to the Shanley Hotel, which is up in Napanoch, New York. The Shanley has every ghost show in the world has been there and done shows on them. There's portals. There's all kinds of weird crap going on in there. So if you're into it, you can do that. You can actually stay the night. And they tell you in their brochures the activity that typically happens in those rooms. So if you want a quieter room, pick this room over here. If you want something that's very active, go in this room. One of the things that a woman who stayed in one of the active rooms left a recorder on all night. And when she listened to the recording in the morning, she heard two men having a conversation talking about what they wanted to do to her. And so this is, again, go in with the expectations and understand what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. So those are the types of things that you can do. And there's plenty of places all over that, but it's nothing. If you're really interested in doing that type of stuff, again, go in with what you need to know, what you want to do. I had a, I don't know how much time we have, so I mean, I can keep talking, but it's if you know, like on the past life,
2 hours, but it's fine. Whatever. I mean, it's all good.
I had the first time I did a past life regression. I'll tell you this story and then I'll shut up. Was I was in college and they brought in a psychic to do a psychic night. So everybody was, downstairs and she's doing her normal induction to do a group psychic thing. And so I'm listening to this and being analytical. I'm listening to how she's doing this. What are the inflections in her voice? And this was there was a soda machine which clicks on and makes a noise. And without skipping a beat, she tells everybody, and outside noises will only relax you further. And I'm thinking, that's very smart of her to say. Now, me analyzing all of this is not making me go into a trance and take part in all this. But at the end of this, my then girlfriend, who became my wife and then became my ex-wife, we were back up in the room and I had memorized the induction speech and I tried it on her. And to my big surprise, it worked. And so, we're going through different things. I did the same thing. And ultimately, she's a little girl who's 10 years old in 1959, somewhere out near Detroit. And she gives me a name. And and I don't remember it now, but it was a unique family name. And this is pre-internet days. And later on, we went in and we found a phone book from Detroit, and that family name existed. Now, I didn't call long distance and say, hey, did somebody die back a ways in the country? And so, but during what was going on, I'm like, okay, I don't want to speak to a 10-year-old girl in 1959. So without thinking, I said, okay, advance 10 years. Now, my ex was born in 1969, which means the other person had to be gone. So all of a sudden, she goes deathly still. And something is obviously wrong. And so I'm like, okay, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And so she wakes up and she hits me. I'm like, what's good? She's like, I was screaming my head off. Why didn't you wake me up? I'm like, no, you were laying real still. And so, I was screaming my head off. I was in a burning car. I could feel it. It was horrible. So I'm like, okay. So I call the psychic and I say, well, remember what you did? I tried it and it worked. And this is what happened. And she's like, you can't do that. You weren't trained. You could have hurt. You could have, don't do that. And so for the next year, I actually studied and I read things on it and figured out how to do it so that I could safely do things. Because I also didn't want to regress somebody to when they were 3 years old and find some sort of weird abuse. I'm not a psychologist or anything. So I figured, all right, whether you believe in past lives or not, you can't get too hurt with that type of stuff. So, but
don't want to traumatize them now. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's all of those types of things. There has to be some level of seriousness to it while you're doing stuff. But you can. They're very interesting to see how people reacted to it. My ex's brother did not believe in any of it, but had very bad breathing problems. Slept with a CPAP machine and just his nose was horribly deviated septum and stuff. And so I had him under for 2 hours. And every few seconds, I'd keep telling him, you're breathing fine. And he was. And I'm like, I asked his wife, do you ever see him breathe so well? And she said no. And so he saw stuff and he saw himself as a slave and calling him bad things, and bad things happened to him. But what freaked him out is when he got up and I brought him out of it, I said, okay, well, how long do you think you were under? And he said, well, about 15 minutes. I said, look at your watch. And he sees it's 2 hours later. He didn't know how to react to that. In his logical brain, 15 minutes had gone by. How could 2 hours? Forget about what he saw, because he didn't believe in any of that stuff. But he's seeing 2 hours went by and I only felt 15 minutes. Something's not right with my view of reality. And it screwed him up for a while. So it's those types of things also. If you're going to red pill someone, then you know what? Sometimes it's a suppository and you need to make sure that you handle it gently. So, but anyway, I'm going on.
Actually, though, you know what? Maybe you can come back another night. We'll just do like a whole paranormal show.
Sure, absolutely.
Ghost stories. I know I got a lot.
I love that. That's always fun. We can do that. So I can do ghost stories all night as well. So
yeah, my mom thinks that I'm like sensitive or more sensitive than some, because like I said, I had my first experience when I was like 10, and almost pretty much every single place I've lived since then, I've had an experience in some form. I've like seen visual like things.
Okay.
I mean, here I've seen there's a shadow person in the basement. We actually did a spirit box, like I said earlier, in the basement, and there was multiple voices on there, and
Okay.
some you couldn't really hear. Some were female, some were male, and then all of a sudden, one male comes through super loud, super clear, and just says enough. So we kind of stopped with that, but nothing's been violent here. It's just like I had an injury. I want to. I don't know. I think it was last year. It's either last year or earlier this year. I don't quite remember. But I fell in here and I hit my head really, really hard. I had a black eye for a long time. I had a huge spot, and I couldn't see very well out of one eye for a while. And I swear to God, I was sitting there trying to do dishes, and I saw like a blurry person like come around the corner, but the only other people here is my husband and my son, and they were in the other rooms. Like one was upstairs and one was like another end of the house. It wasn't them, but I just seen it looked pretty much straight up like a person, but they were blurry. It was just that's just here.
Well, look, when you think about how long history is, people have died everywhere, and so if you're tuning into things, you're tuning into things. I believe in a certain rule that is, don't shit where you eat. So I will not do any things in my own homes or stuff like that because again, see that? Because I don't want to attract and say, hey, you know what? The light's on. Come on here, because all of a sudden I need the little midget lady. Now this house is clean. I don't want to have to deal with any of that kind of stuff. So it's I don't.
Yeah, apparently we have a ghost cat too. My husband has seen a black cat run around, and we don't. Our cat. You just seen me pick him up. He's not black.
No, we've ghost cats. I've had a lot of cats over the years, and I've had ghost cats in most of the houses I've been in, including where I am now. We've had, which my current wife has never had cats, but she's seen them as well. And again, they don't. And you saw the ghost cat before I lived here, so it's look, again, they don't eat much. They're not bothering me. It's
easy to take care of.
Exactly. It's good. I don't have to clean a litter box. Terrific. Okay, that's great. So it's I don't mind any of that kind of stuff, but it's I do want to be protective of where I am and the people I'm with. So I'd rather go out to a ghost place and look for ghosts there, or see what it is, or even if you're just, especially if you take a trip to Europe, where you're walking in buildings that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. If you open yourself up and say, okay, look, I'm okay with seeing some things. Just don't scare the hell out of me, and I don't want to take anything home with me. You'll see things. And so, I've seen some interesting stuff walking around Europe and in different places. Again, nothing scary, but just, folks that are not there who are there. And it gets very, very interesting. But life should be interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Chadrick,
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, I don't know how long he's sticking around, but Chadrick said, great interview. I like this guy. I could listen to you all day.
You know what? And if I had to pick a stage name, Chadrick Whitmire would be terrific. And I hope seriously that you sound like this, Chadrick, because Chadrick Whitmire is it, and even better, Chadwick Whitmire III, Esquire, is even better. And so I think that's just perfect for the name that's there. So hopefully you sound like that. And if not, please practice that. So if I do meet you, we can speak like
that. Chadwick, are you still here? If you want, I can send you the link if you want to come on just for a minute and say hi. Or you're welcome to come on and say hi if you want. You've been here a long time. He's pretty much been coming to all the shows pretty much. So
very good. Very good.
But while we wait for Chadrick, I did. I don't know how familiar you are of like haunted locations in like Illinois.
I don't get out to the Midwest much, but
but Ghost Hunters I know went there. I want to say another show went there too, but I can't remember. But there was a haunted asylum that wasn't far away from my hometown, so we did a ghost tour there just out of curiosity what it was like, and they tell you that too. Tell them this, and they make sure you say, don't come home with us, because I guess they had some stuff happen. But
you folks can attach to you real quick, especially if you're kind of the right frequency flavor for them and stuff. So you do need to watch that. One of my other things I will not do, I have no, especially if you're trying to see stuff, I have no desire to go to an asylum. I have no desire to go to an old, tuberculosis ward or a hospital or
they have that too.
I'll watch them on TV. That's fine. But you know what? Okay, it's like 1,500 people had horrible, gruesome deaths here. Come and have some fun for the night. I don't need to see that.
It was an asylum, I can't say it, the ward, and then there was a cemetery. There was actually 3 cemeteries that were connected right outside of it. They give us a tour of the cemeteries, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the bookbinder's spirit.
I have, but I don't remember much about it, but it does ring a bell.
Yeah, Bookbinder originated from this place that I went to, and it was basically, they didn't really know his name, but I guess he had a book. I'm trying to go off memory. My memory's but he, I guess, would always read books. He wouldn't really talk. He was like a janitor, but he was also assigned to the asylum. And so they ended up having him be a grave digger. And so he would, so a lot of people wouldn't go and to the people's funeral that passed away. So he would weep every time that somebody passed away. So when he passed away,
soon, babe.
Sorry about that. The doctor and 300 nurses and whoever else was at his thing witnessed his spirit weeping at his grave.
I don't have a problem with cemeteries because, again, that's what they're there for. But it's, I wouldn't want to meet a tortured spirit in life. So I don't want to meet a tortured spirit in death. It's not something I'm really interested. Now, there's plenty of folks that will, go where angels fear to tread, and we're going to help you and bring you into the light, kicking and screaming if we have to. No, not my job. So I won't do that. But I am. I'm actually going to have to cut it short pretty soon here as well. So
okay, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, absolutely. We'll do a whole special night, paranormal night or something.
I got no problem with that. I'd love to do that. That would be a lot of fun to do. So we can, but this was great. I first off, thank you both very, very much for inviting me on. Keep up the good work with the shows. There are plenty of more talented people than I am that deserve to be heard. So please keep it going. You guys are doing great. Thank you to Carla and Chadwick Southern. So thank you. I appreciate that, Chadwick. I appreciate all the questions. They were terrific. You guys are great. Again, Carousel 2, second, will be coming out probably in the fall. If you haven't watched the first one, please do. If you want to know a little bit more about me, my website is stevesvoiceovers.com. And it's just got some basic clips of my demos and other information about that. But you can also get to my Audible page and all the rest of the other nonsense that's out there. I'm old. I don't use Instagram, and I barely use Twitter and Facebook, but I'm on there. So my YouTube channel is, hasn't been updated in years, and it's usually just me doing silly Valentine's videos and stuff like that for
I found that. I tried to find your Twitter, but I must have misspelled your name or something.
So
I was going to tag you in the post that it's out. But
the Twitter is @StevesVO, so that you don't have to worry about the Rimpici part. Facebook, I couldn't even tell you; just search my name. But that's kind of where we are. So again, I really, really appreciate this, guys. I really, really do.
Thank you for coming. It was a good time.
With the carousel too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to let you know, I guess probably next time, but Chadwick was trying to sign on here, but it says device not connected. So sorry. Oh wait, maybe it's working now. I don't know. But let's see real quick. Okay, there he is real quick. If you want to say goodbye.
Howdy.
How are you? Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
You'll have to work on your English accent, though. So.
Yeah, I'll have to work on that.
Mom wanted you to be English with a name like Chadwick Whitmire. So.
I'm sorry. But I did a long time ago. I could do an Irish accent.
I apologize, but I am going to have to run.
All right, we'll have you back for sure.
Please, I had a great time here again, guys. I think it's terrific, and I'd love to be invited back.
All right, have a good night.
All right, take it easy, folks.
Have a good one.
Okay,
right,
bye.
All right.
Well, you can talk with us.
Yeah, if you want to talk with us, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm going blurry again.
Oh, it's the ghost going blurry. But yeah, I'm probably gonna, when I get off, watch that Monster Puppet Massacre probably. So
I want to see that Carousel.
Oh, you guys go to Tubi. It's on there. You can watch it. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh, such a great movie.
I've been watching a bunch of Wild Eye movies on Tubi and stuff, so I'm gonna check that Carousel out.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's probably one of my favorite Wild Eye ones, I think.
Oh, really?
Top of the list there. Yeah, probably top of the list there. I like Triggered and Scream Park. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there. So
yeah, Triggered's pretty good. I watched it. I don't remember too much about it, but I remember watching it, and probably when the Meredith lady was on, I think her name's Meredith.
Yeah.
I watched it that night, and I was on here and trying to watch it at the same time. So
multitasking.
Yeah, multitasking. I was gonna say double tasking. That don't make no sense.
Double task that now. Double time. But yeah, if you haven't, I can't remember if you were on or not, but I did interview Steve Rundinsky on the past episode. If you wanted to go back and watch that, he was the director of Carousel, wrote it, and he played the pizza guy in it. So that was a fun
gosh,
night.
I would have loved to ask him some questions. That would have been great. I missed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I might have him come back and maybe do a double show with both the Steves when Carousel 2 comes out.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I missed the trailer. I didn't realize. Well, I knew they had it open for a second one, but I didn't know that they was doing a second one yet. So I'm excited for that because I really did like Carousel. I need to buy that movie. It's great.
Yeah, I have the Wild Eye version, and then I have the Blu-ray one also. It's pretty cool. So I had to get both. So I bought that from his website, and so it's worth buying, even if you see it on Tubi. Go ahead and support. Like, I mean, there's stuff that I'll watch, and I'll still support and buy it as well. So
yeah,
it's definitely, if we want more sequels, definitely got to support it. So that's a lot.
Especially if we want to get that whole universe out there, like we was talking.
the cartoon show, action figures. Yep. So tomorrow night, Ken Sagos, 7:00. So
tomorrow's Saturday.
Yeah, that's the normal night. So I decided to do it tonight because I'm actually switching. I was going to go to Camp Daniel Morgan, but I decided to go to MegaCon instead because so many more people there, and I'm just like, oh, and it's the same weekend. So, and I mean, I've already been to Camp Daniel Morgan, so I mean, it would have been cool to meet the director of Jason Lives, but there's just more people at MegaCon, and it was a tough decision, but so. But either way, I'm not going to be home that weekend that I had originally got Steve to be on. So that's why I just did it tonight.
Oh.
Okay.
So we got a double show this week.
Yeah. And on September 4th, we'll be doing a double show too with Nicholas Vince, who was Chatterbox and Hellraiser at 2:00. Since he's in London, it's a 5-hour time difference. So I just figured, accommodate him that way because, I mean, he's going to be taking the time to come on. So. And then after him, Brian Bremer from Pumpkinhead and Society. So got some good people coming up. So
sounds good. I'm looking for Debbie Rochon.
Yep, August 7th.
Okay.
It's actually not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday. Yeah. So
perfect, because I saw her in a movie called Bleed when I was a kid. Because I'm only 33, and I got this movie called Bleed. And I just become obsessed. And then I found out who Jimmy O was. And then I found The Good Sisters with her and April Burrell.
Okay.
So you should check that out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I heard of that one there. I got some list of some more stuff I'll have to watch of hers prior to that. So get some more.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff on it.
And
yeah, she's done a lot. She's done a lot. If you look at her internet.
Oh, I know.
So.
I waited. Apparently, I was actually watching TV one day, and I saw her name pop up, And I was like, oh, I was so excited. I was like, she's going to be in this movie. And then next thing I know, I watched the whole movie. I saw a poster on the wall in the girl's bedroom of her. But then I watched the credits and it says story by.
Oh.
And I waited to watch that whole movie thinking that she was going to be in it.
Right. So, all right. Well, I guess I'm going to head out. This is probably the longest one we've done in a while, almost 2.5 hours. So.
It definitely didn't seem like that.
No, it didn't.
No. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night.
All right. Too. Yep. You too.
Thank you for watching my movie.
No problem.
I haven't yet, but I'll check it out.
I'm trying to think of a good way to good one. I know I watched it, but I couldn't remember. I've had a lot of memory problems since I hit my head. It's like I knew I watched it. I know that I liked it, so I was trying to think of a good way to describe it, and then made me stumble and made it sound like worse than what it was. But yeah, when you was posting on Facebook, I got to see it there.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No. And I'll definitely check it out when I get a chance myself. So.
Okay.
All right,
guys. Y'all have a great night.
That's it. You have a good night, and thanks for everyone who's watching and will be watching. And see you tomorrow night for Ken Sagos.